Tonight, the sensational trial that just finished. Why would a beloved family man suddenly disappear on his family and friends?
And then tell them not to come looking for him. The stunning courtroom confession on an all-new 2020 beginning right now.
I'm living in the Twilight Zone and I can hear the theme song going on.
He opened the door and he was covered in blood.
He was here one moment, gone the next. There's no goodbye, there's no I'll talk to you later, there's no nothing. He was gone.
They were getting these weird messages.
Roses are red, violets are blue, my wife is a whore, your husband is too.
My family and I are begging you, asking for your assistance.
Nothing added up. Nothing made sense.
Had she ever mentioned anything about Mike, concerns about Mike?
She's sobbing. She's just, I know he's coming around. There's stuff, doors that were closed or open. And
Lori told her that Mike got picked up in a black SUV one day, never came back. And I started putting those pieces together.
It made it alarming. It gave me chills. Everything that had been happening for the last 2.5 years was likely a lie.
There was just more and more twists and turns.
They asked, well, when's the last time you seen him? And frankly, I said, years.
What?
This is Claremont, Florida, a rural community about 20 miles west of Orlando, but a world apart from the tourist-filled amusement parks. Michael and Lori Shaver were raising their 2 children here when his lifelong friend, Scott Amatuccio, started to get worried.
We were best friends. We were just always around each other. I could tell something was off. I just haven't heard from Mike for a while. I had texted him at some point in time. He never responded. And then I'm like, what's going on with Mike's Facebook? I go to his page and he wasn't even my friend anymore.
For friends so close, an unexplained social media slight like this was too strange to ignore. And it turns out Scott wasn't the only one worried.
I would get strange messages. We were just questioning it, like, is he having that many troubles that he has to turn away from his family?
The communication went down and it seemed to be it was just a text or a social media Facebook message.
We had conversations all the time about where's Mike?
Have you seen Mike? Have you heard from Mike?
Someone said Michael just took off in a black SUV and never came back. None of this adds up.
Clearly something wasn't right.
Michael was missing.
He was here one moment, gone the next, just gone.
Everybody's hair was raised, what's going on?
It was that concern that started the unraveling of a years-long mystery as deep and dark as the lakes that surround this place.
Hi, I'm Michael Shaver. Oh, there I am. That's me. See?
Michael grew up the 3rd child of 4 with his brother and 2 sisters in the tiny rural village of Lawrence in upstate New York.
Our relationship was a very special bond. My mom was a single mother, so I would help my mom out whenever she needed help with Michael. I would always put Michael first.
This is a photo of Mike and I. We're at my house that I grew up in. We would just have fun as kids, ride our bikes all day long and go on adventures, always playing around the neighborhood. He was great at playing drums. Eventually he learned to play guitar. We used to have this band. We called it Rifles and Dandelions instead of Guns N' Roses. That was our silly way of coming up with a band.
As a young man, Michael showed a talent for working with his hands.
I played with tools all my life. I believe that the genes were passed on to Michael because as a kid he used to repair stuff around the house.
He would go around the town and people would actually give him stuff. He would fix it.
He may take an old bicycle or something and fix it up and make it work again for somebody. And it's like a sense of accomplishment, saying, I fixed that.
One time, him and his friend built an airplane out of wood in the backyard. And I swear if they'd had a motor, they would have taken off with it. It was really something. You should have seen it.
Michael's love of tinkering with things, I believe, led him to wanting to work on airplanes. And then as he got a little older, he wanted to learn how to fly.
Flying wasn't the only thing Michael loved. By the time he'd gotten to high school, his head was also in the clouds for Lori Paddleford, seen here in their yearbook.
We all grew up together. It was around 7th or 8th grade. Mike had a crush on Lori. He wanted to figure out the best way to ask her out. We had come up with this great idea of playing Boys to Men in the background. So that's how they ended up dating.
I don't think I really understood how serious it was until after they graduated. Then they were talking about marriage.
This is a picture of Mike and I at his wedding. I was his best man, and this was us together.
Their wedding was beautiful. Lori, she was so happy. I remember Michael couldn't stop smiling.
He eventually got his commercial pilot license, worked for Piedmont.
He loved it, and he used to take his friends up and do loop-the-loops with them, and they loved it.
Soon, Michael and Lori became parents to daughter Isabel and her younger brother Aiden. After moving up and down the East Coast, Michael and his family ended up in the Sunshine State.
When I moved down to Florida, it's when they moved down to Florida.
They moved to Claremont, bought a property, 5 acres. It's pretty rural. It's beautiful lakes, some rolling hills. It's pretty quiet.
He had chickens and guineas and turkeys and quite a few ducks, and he wanted them to have their own duck pond.
In his off hours, he worked as a mechanic for Precious Metal, a local flight team that performs and races all over the country.
We were both volunteers for the Precious Metal air racing team. Reno air racing has been compared to NASCAR of the sky. It's multiple planes on a closed course at one time. Speeds are up to 500 miles per hour. You're 50 feet off the ground. It's a huge adrenaline rush. We spent several years, several long nights, sometimes 3 days in a row working on the plane together. The people who described him as a genius, I would agree. He just took care of it. You knew that the job was going to be completed as it should.
Lori worked from home for an insurance company while Michael was away for days at a time working as a pilot. Wanting to be with his family more, Michael quit the airline business for another dream job, this one at the most magical place on Earth.
Mike and I worked at Epcot together. He was a mechanic.
Working at Disney was just his little kid inside, and he loved that job. You know, he was flourishing.
But then, for some reason, dependable Michael just stopped showing up.
He was here one moment, gone the next. No goodbye, no nothing.
It seemed Michael Shaver was blowing off his friends, his family, even his job.
When the manager contacted Mike, Mike's response was, "You can go ahead and fire me, I'm not coming back."
But if Michael Shaver wasn't coming back, where exactly was he going? In the fall of 2015, Michael Shaver, father of two, a mechanic who loved to work on and fly planes, seems to just fall off the grid.
He was here one moment, gone the next. There's no goodbye, there's no I'll talk to you later, there's no nothing. He was gone.
It was a disappearance that just didn't make sense to Michael's friends, who wondered, after nearly a decade marriage, could this have something to do with his rocky relationship with his wife, Lori?
I'm Wilma Nicholas, and I was the neighbor for Lori and Mike Shaver. Mike was about the same age as my oldest son, so he was kind of like another son to me. My home was probably 50 feet away from their home, no trees in the middle. I would be just outside doing my chores and I could hear the arguments happening inside. I talked to Lori. I just said, "You guys okay? You know, I hear you fighting sometimes."
Lori acted like everything was fine. She was all smiles and he was all smiles, and they covered it up pretty good.
I had no idea the extent of what was going on. I guess that's typical. Nobody knows what's really going on inside the house.
On a hot, late summer afternoon, the simmering tension inside the house erupts.
911, do you need police, fire, or the ambulance service? Please, I'm on my way to the sheriff's office right now. I got my kids lost. What's going on? It was a domestic violence dispute. My hand is bleeding.
I had just gotten home from work and my phone rang and it was Mike. And he said, "Can you come over? I need your help." He opened the door and he was covered in blood. Blood streaming down his face. There was torn clothes. I took a whole lot of photos just in case he needed it at any point in the future.
There was a domestic abuse incident in September of 2014 at Michael and Lori's house.
We're dealing with a scenario where we have the allegations made by Lori Shaver.
Lori tells the 911 operator she and Michael have been fighting a lot lately, but it never got physical until that night.
I grabbed my gun because he has a gun and I hit him in the head with it. I grabbed my kids and left. He pulled out a gun on you? Oh, yeah. He grabbed my car keys and stuck them in his pocket. I fought him to get my keys out of his pocket, and then I grabbed my kids.
Mike's version of events was she was the one that grabbed the gun. She was the one that was initiating the violence. He was trying to calm the situation down.
He said that they had been in a fight and Lori had threatened to kill him and herself, and that they had wrestled with the gun.
Has there been any drinking tonight? Yes, there has. We each probably had 3 beers since 2 o'clock. You both had 3 beers? Yeah.
Michael admits he kept the car keys from Lori to prevent her from leaving, but he says that's because he didn't want his wife driving with the kids after she'd been drinking. Both say during the struggle, Lori hit Michael on the head with her revolver.
The revolver that was on the bed looked like a .38, and it had pink plastic grips. Then I noticed there were roses all over the floor.
She didn't go up to Michael Shaver and just wail on Michael Shaver. He had a handgun he pulled on her, and I believe she tried to deflect the gun and it hit him.
Police are unable to determine who started the physical altercation with the pistol.
Ultimately, Michael is arrested for not anything dealing with the firearms, but he admitted, "I grabbed her," and law enforcement arrested him for battery.
The battery charge is ultimately dropped, but things are never the same between the childhood sweethearts. Both Michael and Lori dug in and pointed fingers at each other.
Lori had been the victim of years of physical abuse by Michael Shaver. These acts were extreme. Lori was locked in a closet. Lori would be physically beaten.
I never heard Mike, scream at Lori or do anything physically. Lori trying to paint Mike into this monster and the abusive person in the relationship. Everybody that knew Mike knew that wasn't the case.
I do think Lori was abusive towards my brother and controlling. She would only let him talk for 20 minutes on the phone to me.
His friends would say that he'd come around and have bruises, and they'd ask him what was the matter, what happened. Oh, Lori got mad.
Michael Shaver was not some innocent victim that married some violent woman. Michael Shaver was an aggressive guy, and she was always the victim of this aggression.
In the fall of 2014, a judge grants a no-contact order against Michael and he's forced to move out of the house he shared with Lori and his kids.
Mike was staying in the airplane hangar where the precious metals plane was. I just figured it was for a day or two, and then later on I learned that he'd been down there, for a week or even more.
He was living basically at the hangar. There was like a meeting room with some nice big comfortable couches. There was a shower there and a bathroom.
She would kick him out, he would leave, a month or two would go by, and then she would have him come back again.
Michael's friends say that while he was living out of the house, he still keeps tabs on Lori, suspecting she's seeing other men.
When they would split up and Mike would be gone, there would be men that would come over quite often to the house.
Michael believed that Lori cheated on him quite frequently. Lori always denied that she was cheating on Michael. He would say, "What do you think? Does it sound like she's cheating, or am I just losing my mind?"
There was a time where I think Mike just needed to know what was going on at home. He and a friend would fly over Mike's house just to see whose truck was in the driveway, maybe just to make sure nobody was there.
He was willing to overlook that and get past it, but it showed the love that he had of willing to fix stuff to be with his family.
He loved her so much, I guess he forgave her.
Michael's repeated attempts to save his marriage began to strain his other relationships.
I tried to go visit Michael and his children in Florida, and always at last minute, I would get a message saying that Lori said it was a bad time, that we shouldn't come down.
But soon the communication from Michael went from infrequent to almost non-existent. He seemed to simply vanish.
He was there at the tractor show, and then the next week he was gone, and there was nothing in between. It was just gone.
And when Frank checks in with Lori, her answer only deepens the mystery.
According to Lori, Michael blew out of town, didn't want to be part of the family anymore.
Gone without a trace. Or was he? Michael and Lori had a roller coaster relationship, but in the fall of 2015, things seemed to be going well. So well that Michael has moved back in with Lori and the kids.
I know that he went home and that they were trying to work things out. He had quite a few ducks, and they were staying with the chickens in the chicken coop, and he wanted them to have their own duck pond.
He was digging out a duck pond in the back for her ducks because she wanted to raise ducks and chickens. So he was home, they were back together again.
But then things take another turn. November 7th, 2015, it's a day Frank Merritt says he will never forget. He and his family met Michael and Lori Shaver and their children at a local tractor show.
Oh, it was really hot that day. They do a show 3 or 4 times a year during the winter months. It's just a bunch of antique tractors, and it's like a flea market. Mike was really into that stuff. He really liked that old stuff.
But Michael's friend and co-worker Frank says he could once again sense an unspoken tension between Michael and Lori.
She just wouldn't make eye contact with us. She wouldn't speak with us, and it was just kind of weird because she was usually more bubbly than that. And then he says, "Hey, I gotta go." So they left.
The next time Frank hears from Michael is by text, 2 days later.
He had texted me on Monday that he was gonna have to quit his job to save his marriage. So I just kind of backed out of it. I just left him alone. So when he didn't show up Tuesday, I didn't think nothing of it. It's just, well, he's got some problems. They'll work it out. And then Wednesday he didn't come, and Thursday he didn't come. And it wasn't until Thursday night that our manager came to see us.
After 3 days of no showing at work, Michael's manager reaches out to him and gets a surprising response back.
Mike's response was, "You can go ahead and fire me, I'm not coming back."
So just none of it made sense at all that Michael had sent a text message to his boss just up and quitting. He was known to be a very dependable worker and a diligent worker. That didn't add up at all.
Like, well, if he's not showing up and not calling, I'll go by and check on him.
But when Frank goes to Michael's house looking for answers, he only ends up with more questions.
Lori answers the door. I asked where Mike is at, and she said he's not home. And I said, well, what do you mean he ain't here? And I said, well, his car's here. And his car was in the driveway. So she said, he's not here.
Frank says Lori eventually told him that after a heated argument, Michael stormed off, catching a ride with his friend Robert to Georgia, and she hadn't seen him since.
Mike never told me he wanted to go to Georgia. He had never spoken about wanting to leave the state, leave the marriage, any of that. I thought he was happy here, and we were doing so well, and then it's like, huh? What an idiot. I felt like that was the wrong thing to do, you know, it's just walk away.
I reached out to Lori through Messenger on Facebook, and I said, do you know where Michael is? And she said, no, he left the kids, he's not paying child support.
This strikes Michael's sister Stacy as completely out of character for the brother she knows.
His kids meant more than anything in the world to him, and he would not just up and leave his children.
And when I was texting with him, he says, I'm never coming back, and just wasn't answering his phone, never coming back.
I knew they were having some marital problems, so I felt like he needed some space.
He doesn't want to be involved with this craziness.
Could Michael have finally had enough of his rocky marriage and decided to ditch it all, his job included, and head north to start over?
It was his dream job. He would never quit. Nothing added up. You know, nothing made sense.
What was strange and unusual about the messages that Mike was sending to his friends and family?
The common theme of all of them would have been, leave me alone. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Just leave me alone. I don't have family.
He didn't want to be found. He wanted to be left alone. He was not coming back. He had abandoned his family and he was gone.
These text messages were completely out of character for Michael. I think that the family really noticed that very quickly.
Michael's niece, Desiree Ruggles, got this text from him, flat out saying, I don't have a family.
Is there a reason why he's pulling away from our family? Because he doesn't talk to us anymore? Does he just need time? And I got a little angry, and I'm just like, you know what? If you don't want to be a brother, don't be a brother.
Just when it seems he's gone for good and his wife Lori is moving on,
Lori met Jeremy at a park, and their children began to play together.
Michael Shaver seems to show back up. Had she ever mentioned any concerns about Mike?
Yes. She goes, I know he's coming around. I know he's harassing me. There's doors that were closed or open. And I'm like, you need to get a restraining order.
Michael Shaver seems to be abandoning his life. He hasn't shown up to work, and when friends and family reach out to him, they get messages saying, just leave me alone.
According to Lori, Michael blew out of town, didn't want to be part of the family anymore, left the state.
Over time, with no sign of Michael, Lori moves on with her life, meeting a new man, Jeremy Townsend, or Jay, as he's often called.
He's in the military or was in the military. They ended up exchanging numbers, and a relationship developed.
Lori's fresh start also includes getting fit. She starts working with a personal trainer named Rebecca Filmer.
Got it, girl. Way to work, way to work.
How did you meet Lori?
So I originally met her at Gold's Gym. I met her through her then boyfriend, Jay Townsend. He introduced us as his girlfriend at the time. She had just lost a lot of weight and she wanted to start working out. Lori was super sweet. She was just someone that was very easy to talk to. She liked going out to dance and stuff. So we just kind of connected.
Now you end up becoming roommates. You moved in this neighborhood with her.
Yes, we became friends pretty close.
So close that Lori confides in her about relationships with men, including what Lori says was a difficult marriage to Michael Shaver.
She told me she was in this relationship that he made her feel bad about herself. And I started to understand why she wanted to lose so much weight, why she was so focused on her appearance. I mean, in session, she'd be in the mirror, like fixing her hair and making sure everything was just so.
And even though it seemed Michael had initially skipped town, Rebecca says Lori told her that she started to sense that he was back.
There was a time we're sitting in the living room and she's sobbing. She's just, I know he's coming around. There's stuff, you know, doors that were closed or open. And I'm like, you need to get a restraining order, you know, if it's getting that bad. She says, no, I don't want to be bothered. It's just going to kind of open up a whole nother can of worms.
Rebecca says Lori told her that she was divorcing Michael once and for all and moving on with her life.
And she goes, oh, I had the court appearance to settle their divorce. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, how did that go? She said it was settled. She's officially divorced. And I was like, perfect.
But Lori's new relationship is far from perfect. She knows that man she's been seeing, Jeremy Townsend, is already married.
Jeremy's wife didn't know about Lori.
And Jeremy doesn't seem to be leaving his wife anytime soon, something that texts between the two show was creating a strain on their relationship. In April 2016, Jeremy's wife, Vanessa, gets a surprise. She's at work one day when she receives a flower delivery, but it's not from Jeremy. The delivery comes with a strange card.
Roses are red, violets are blue. My wife is a whore. Your husband is too. Sorry about this. Check your Facebook message. We need to talk. Mike.
Then Jeremy's wife goes onto Facebook and finds a message from Michael Shaver informing her of the affair. He says he's installed a spy app on Lori's cell phone, and he includes screenshots of texts and explicit photos between Jeremy and Lori.
Basically, Mike was outing this affair.
Lori's relationship with Jeremy implodes after his wife finds out.
It was clear that he wasn't going to be leaving his wife. They were going to work it out, and him and Lori were over.
Lori moves on from Jeremy pretty quickly to another guy, Travis.
Travis Filmer was a youth leader at a local church. Lori met him through Rebecca.
I didn't know anything about her, but from appearances, she was really put together. I knew that she had kids. I saw how she interacted with the kids. So for me, that was a very important thing. I've always wanted kids. I've always wanted a family. I know when I was a kid and my parents got divorced, it destroyed me.
The sparks between Travis and Lori first flying during a bonfire get-together at Lori's house.
Her smile is the one thing that just, stood out to me. It drew me to her.
After that night, it was Travis this, Travis that, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. I think she has a type. When I've seen pictures of Mike and, the way that he would dress, it was similar to Travis.
We ended up going out to dinner. We just hit it off. We had a lot in common and decided to keep seeing each other.
Lori also told Travis details about her relationship with Michael.
From the things that she described to me, it was a very bad situation. She had told me that they were divorced. And I did ask if she was receiving any child support. And she told me that she wasn't, that he didn't want anything to do with the kids.
I'm Kendall Windsor. I'm Travis Filmer's mother. Lori was lovely. It was like he was with us one day, and then the next thing you know, he's living with Lori.
This is the person I want to be with. Not only did I fall in love with Lori, but I fell in love with Aiden and Isabel too.
Travis and Lori's love affair is moving quickly, and on New Year's Eve 2016, they decide to have a wedding ceremony right here in Lori's backyard.
We had friends, family come over. It was fantastic.
I was told they were getting married this day, that time, and I showed up.
Lori had fixed up the 5-acre property prior to the occasion, putting in a backyard fire pit. The couple later etched their initials into the concrete around it. Lori walked out to the Brantley Gilbert song, Fall Into Me.
And so we're sitting on bales of hay, My dad walks her down the aisle.
The ceremony was underneath this big oak tree.
I, Travis.
I, Travis.
Take you, Lori.
Take you, Lori. We did this to really just show everybody in front of God that we're committed to each other. This is a lifelong thing.
Travis, you may now kiss the bride.
Yay!
So Lori has moved on and put her ex Michael Shaver behind her, but Michael's friends and family have not been able to do the same, still wondering why it's been so long. At this point, more than 2 years since any of them have laid eyes on him.
Clearly, something wasn't right.
And that lifelong friend, Scott Amatuccio, is about to make a stunning discovery.
It made my stomach sink right away.
New Year's Eve 2016, Lori Shaver and Travis Filmer had a wedding ceremony in their backyard.
Until death do us part.
Just steps from that fire pit where their initials are etched in the concrete. And a year later, the couple had even more to celebrate.
And I looked at her and I was like, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant." And I was just floored, like absolutely floored.
They would quickly add another child to their growing brood, along with the 2 kids Lori shared with her ex, Michael Shaver. Michael hadn't been seen by friends and family since he seemingly walked away from his life.
Michael would pop up every now and then with Facebook messages to his family, to his friends. I don't want to be bothered. I'm working on myself.
Even though the years were passing, friends and family said the occasional texts and Facebook messages led them to believe Michael wanted to be left alone.
Everybody rationalized it as give the man space. We knew what he was going through with the family by this point.
Yeah, I should have probably texted Mike more and called him, but we were never much into texting or phone calls. I had my first daughter, and I was so consumed in that. It was just not on my mind.
Scott then gets a phone call from his ex-fiancée, Katina Vasquez, that would change everything. She tells him she happened to be over at Michael and Lori's house 2.5 years ago, right after Lori said Michael skipped town.
She had noticed that Mike's possessions were there. Clothing was there, his wallet was there, his phone, all that was there.
His car was still there. His guns were still there.
Basically everything he owned.
Yes.
He walked away with nothing. I don't even know that he took his toothbrush.
Katina tells Scott that during that visit, she asked Lori where Michael was.
Lori told her that Mike got picked up in a black SUV one day, never came back. He would never do that to his family or kids. In a vacuum, you're not going to put anything together, but you start getting these other details. Clearly, something wasn't right. It's those details that made my stomach sink right away.
Eventually, Scott pieces together that no one has seen or spoken to Michael in 2.5 years. He decides it's time to reach out to Michael's sister in upstate New York to compare notes.
Scott and I just happened to be messaging back and forth one night, and we're like, none of this adds up.
Stacy and I had been talking, they were getting these weird messages. They'd be kind of short, out of character.
There was a wording that he didn't use. He never called me bro.
There was a couple there that said, just leave me alone, I'm moving to California. Just some crazy stuff that just didn't sound like him whatsoever.
He had texted me one day and asked, "What's Mom's number?" I tried to call her, it must have been changed. My mother's phone number has been the same for 30 years.
With his suspicions growing, Scott does what any of us might do when trying to track down his now long-lost friend. He logs onto Facebook.
wasn't too active on Facebook back then. So I go to his page, and then I had noticed the profile picture had just been updated the month prior to some group of guys in a bar. I had to like zoom in and make sure, like nobody looked like Mike in that picture.
Scott then does a reverse Google image search, trying to determine where this photo came from. Turns out, it matches a photo from a Bloody Mary mix company.
Clearly, somebody took that picture online and put it as his profile picture.
And Michael's recent posts also seemed off. They were different from what he typically posted in the past.
His activity on Facebook was usually pictures of himself, pictures of friends, pictures about the plane that they would work on. All of that ended, and then it started up with various silly memes that were just not in keeping with his personality whatsoever.
Michael's friend Scott, along with his sister Stacy, knew it was time for something drastic.
Since I was in New York and Scott was in Florida, Scott told me that he would go to the police.
And when I called, I said, I'd like to file a missing person report. You know, they asked, well, when's the last time you seen him? And frankly, I said, years. They didn't take me seriously at first because you're now filing a missing person report years later.
Scott is able to convince police in Florida that his concerns are serious enough to warrant a welfare check. And when a deputy goes to Lori Shaver's house, something catches his eye that's been hiding in plain sight for years.
And that's when I really started to getting chills up my back.
I'll take you there to see for yourself.
This has got to be the strangest case in my career.
What happened to your husband, though? Have you not seen him since 2015?
I had to rethink and re-question myself. Everything that had been happening was likely a lie.
And just when you think you know where the story is headed, a new twist.
Today, I'm coming to you. My family and I are begging you, asking for your assistance.
Everyone was just like, what?
There was just more and more twists and turns.
I'm living in the Twilight Zone and I can hear the theme song going on.
I've seen it on TV, on the news, but I never, ever imagined this would be happening next door to me.
That's when you knew something was up.
We just started asking her questions about the whereabouts of Michael Shaver.
Did she say why he left? What happened?
She did not. She has no idea where he would be.
Lori called me crying, saying the police are here and they're looking for Michael.
He proclaimed he had the special skills to kill somebody.
When you walked out here, were you immediately surprised?
I really started to getting chills up my back.
But what about the chills when a totally unexpected person confesses?
Everyone was just like, what?
When you have a witness take the stand that says, I had a role in it, that's pretty incredible.
I know it sounds weird. I know it does.
The reality was that he was digging his own grave.
That was one of the most bizarre videos I've ever seen.
This has got to be the strangest case in my career that I've ever seen. It was as though this guy had literally just vanished.
November 7th, 2015 was the last time anyone saw Michael Shaver alive. His family hadn't seen him. His friends hadn't seen him.
No one had actually talked to him on the phone or talked to him in person. It was very weird.
They will tell you he would never, ever leave his 2 children.
He had 5 acres of property and a tractor. He walked away with nothing.
It's been 2.5 years since anyone has seen or spoken to Michael Shaver. His loved ones are concerned. So his longtime friend, Scott Amatuccio, decides to call law enforcement. He requests a welfare check.
So this is South Claremont. We're probably 40 minutes northwest of Orlando. So this is a very rural area.
Corporal Corey Anderson was one of 2 deputies that respond to the welfare check call that day in February 2018.
It was out of the ordinary. I haven't seen a call like that in a long time.
What about it felt unusual to you?
Usually, a well-being check is, hey, I haven't heard my friend in a while. Can you go check on him or have him call me? Not anything like he's missing, he's not responding to calls, he's making posts that aren't like him to make. People just don't up and leave, you know?
So you pull up to the house. What's the first thing you do when you get here?
Deputy Morris and I, we meet, and then we approach the house together.
Did someone answer the door?
Yes, Miss Shaver answered the door. She had a 2-week-old infant in her arm, so she stood on the porch, and we just started asking her questions about the whereabouts of Michael Shaver.
What was her demeanor like? Was she friendly?
She was cool as a cucumber, and it made it almost alarming. It gave me chills speaking with her.
Lori really didn't seem very apprehensive or nervous or surprised.
The way that she was answering questions, withholding information.
What kind of withholding of information?
Some of the dates that she used for when he was last seen, the last time he was at work, the day-to-day things that she would know weren't adding up.
Did she say why he left? What happened?
She did not. She simply said that he absconded and has not been seen or heard of. Has no idea where he would be.
Corporal Anderson then asks Lori if he can take a look in the backyard.
She welcomed them onto the property. She appeared to be very cooperative. She appeared as though she had nothing to hide. Obviously, they noticed it was a beautiful, sprawling 5-acre piece of property, and they were able to walk the outside of the property and look around.
The deputies noticed multiple outbuildings in the backyard, as well as a chicken coop, rabbit hutch, a fire pit, and an above-ground swimming pool. But when they ask if they can perform a more thorough search of the backyard, things take a turn.
And that's when her cooperation ended suddenly.
She said, you guys need to get off my property.
Oh, immediately.
And you can contact my attorney. So that was a huge red flag for me.
That's when you knew something was up. She shut that down and couldn't get them out of there fast enough.
So detectives got the report from the deputies, and they began to plan their next steps and how they were going to move forward to get back out to the property and do a more thorough search.
I had just left work. I was on my way home, and Lori called me crying, saying the police are here and they're looking for Michael. She was very upset. She seemed like she didn't really know what was going on.
Lake County deputies say it was his friend who initially reported him missing. Today, we're learning more about Michael Shaver.
I turned on the news, and that's when it hit that he's actually missing, that it's not good.
I remember thinking it's a complete misunderstanding. They're gonna find that he just wasn't where he was supposed to be. It just kind of snowballed into he's missing.
Working to learn what happened to a man who's been missing. Channel 9 was there from the beginning. We went out to her house and said, hey, your husband's missing. Is there anything you want to say?
I wanted to ask you about the Sheriff's Office investigation into your missing husband.
I have an attorney.
You have an attorney?
Contact him for any statement.
She basically told us to get away from her truck, and she didn't want to talk to us.
What happened to your husband, though? Have you not seen him since 2015?
His wife didn't report him missing at all, and years go by. You would think a spouse would want to talk and get his picture out, get the information out. She blew by her cameras. She had nothing to say.
Meanwhile, as detectives are digging for more clues into Michael's possible whereabouts, they discover some startling information.
They learned that his driver's license was expired. There was not a new driver's license issued in any other state.
Good luck. Have fun. Thank you.
His pilot's license were expired. There was literally no trace of Michael, no matter what they tried, no matter where they looked.
Detectives then start interviewing Michael's friends, relatives, and co-workers. They start building a timeline to try to pinpoint exactly when someone last laid eyes on him. And it turns out they think it was at that tractor show that Michael and his family attended 2.5 years earlier with his friend and co-worker, Frank Merrick.
He was there at the tractor show, and then the next week he was gone, and there was nothing in between.
And it was just days later that Michael sent that strange text to his boss, abruptly quitting his job.
Based upon all of these bizarre circumstances, we knew something had happened to Michael.
3 weeks after that initial welfare check, detectives finally secure a search warrant for Laurie Shaver's property.
It was a huge scene.
There was law enforcement up and down the road.
Investigators come in with cadaver dogs, and they start searching the property.
I've seen it on TV, on the news, but I never, ever imagined this would be happening next door to me.
One of the cadaver dogs is walked along the backyard and alerts to a dirt mound multiple times.
That's when they brought in all the big guns, the big equipment.
We began digging up that yard. We dug a very significant area. We realized that there was nothing to be found there. The fire pit was our next point of interest. Once they started digging, we heard some yelling.
And all of a sudden I noticed activity happening and running around.
I could tell something had been discovered.
Investigators with Florida's Lake County Sheriff's Office are back at Michael and Laurie Shaver's home, armed with a search warrant. They're now scouring the property.
And they knew that it was something about that fire pit. Something was going on in that area.
The decision was made to bust up that concrete and dig down below that fire pit to see what we could find.
And there were tents up from investigators as they were excavating and sifting through the dirt.
Once they started digging, we heard some yelling. We knew we were onto something.
I have never seen anything like this before in person in my backyard. Oh, they're running.
At one point, investigators and the crime scene technicians, they're digging in that area. We see them put their hands over their eyes, and we said, hey, something just happened.
And I can tell you that we have found what appears to be a bone that is consistent with that of a human upper arm bone.
They began to dig, and 3 feet below, there was Michael.
A gruesome discovery in a backyard in Florida.
Police are finding what are believed to be human remains.
What did you find in that gravesite?
There was a blue tarp, and beneath the blue tarp were the remains of Michael Shaver. His body was found to be wearing a pair of underwear, a pair of shorts. He had on a pair of socks. There was a piece of a fitted sheet also around the body. So it was evident that the body had been wrapped up and placed in that grave.
How deep was this grave?
About 3.5 feet.
Investigators say the remains were skeletonized and looked like they had been there for quite some time.
When the body was discovered, Laurie was sitting in her truck. My photographer and I walked over and we knocked on the window.
I'm on the phone with my attorney right now, and I'm not making a statement.
And shortly after, she took off. It just seemed strange that that's when she decided to take off and leave after being there for hours while the search was being conducted.
weeks before the remains were found back on the day of that welfare check, Corporal Corey Anderson was convinced there was something underneath that concrete.
And this is where the fire pit was.
Yes, the cement slab was here.
It's what he noticed then that raised investigators' suspicions enough to come back with a search warrant.
As I was approaching the cement slab, you could clearly see a depression, and I took out my cell phone and just started snapping pictures.
And you saw that depression. Were you immediately surprised?
I was, and that's when I really started to get chills up my back.
You immediately thought it was a shallow grave?
Absolutely. It's unmistakable. It was the size of a human adult body.
It was really a remarkable sequence of events where a deputy who actually had the experience that this particular deputy did just asked permission, hey, maybe you guys mind if I take some pictures and walk around the back of the yard? The right person saw what started this case.
I mean, I considered Mike my best friend. It's pretty tough knowing that he's laying in the dirt like that.
It was absolutely devastating. Then I had to go and tell my mother. It was the hardest thing in the world I ever had to do.
I just started wailing and crying, and it's a terrible thing. It's just terrible.
As painful as that moment was, Michael's family says, finally, all the hurt and confusion around his unexplained disappearance made sense.
When they said that they got all the remains out, I knew in my heart that was Michael.
Are you guys Michael's family?
You know, even though it couldn't have been identified that day, I knew that it was.
Buried in the backyard, police revealing new clues in the mystery disappearance of a husband.
I mean, that's just not something that we deal with and see every day. The media attention just grew.
Human remains were found buried in his wife's backyard.
The headline for the day was missing man's body found in his backyard. In that same place, his wife had remarried.
In the wedding video, you see her come down to that oak tree where they exchange vows. And her husband is dead, buried underneath that concrete slab that she's walking down to marry the next guy.
She had her wedding virtually on top of her husband's body.
We were sitting in the fire pit, by the fire pit, not knowing that Michael is under that fire pit. That's where I sat.
Until death do us part.
So this whole scenario, it's like I'm living in the Twilight Zone and I can hear the theme song going on. Do, 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 do. That's what's going on in my life.
Excuse me, sir. Do you guys know anything about what's going on inside? No comment?
When they found the remains under the fire pit, I couldn't believe that. Lori had kept telling me that she didn't know of anything.
But now investigators have Lori Shaver in their sights, and they want to hear exactly what she does know and when she knew it. After Michael Shaver's remains are recovered from a shallow grave in the backyard of the home he once shared with his wife, Lori, the medical examiner determines that what put him there was a single gunshot to the head.
And the projectile was found inside of the skull. It was pretty much a straight-on shot to the back of the head.
Any DNA, any evidence of who would have put him there?
Pretty much everything in that grave site was sent to Florida Department of Law Enforcement for analysis, and there was no DNA that was found, mostly because of the decomposition process.
So over time, it's really hard to find DNA if it's in the ground, even if it had been there.
Yes.
But to many people's surprise, even after the gruesome discovery, Lori Shaver remains a free woman.
Lori wasn't immediately arrested, and that was something that was pretty frustrating for the family, but investigators had to build a case against her, and they knew that they would only get one shot.
Lori Shaver didn't get arrested right away.
Correct.
Why?
There were still phone records, Facebook records to obtain, and piecing together all of these different pieces of evidence to try to figure out what happened.
We knew he was last seen November 7th and didn't show up to work November 10th. So we believe it happened during those 3 days that he was killed by Lori.
If that's true, that's months before Lori met Travis Filmer, who says he believed she was divorced from Michael Shaver.
Lori didn't divorce her husband during this time that Michael was missing. Lori never went after him for child support.
Finding out that Lori was not divorced, that was a shock. And detectives are the ones that told me.
Travis says that after Michael's body was found, he and Lori didn't discuss the investigation.
Lori and we didn't talk about things. She never told me that there was a body on the property. I know based on my experience with law enforcement and being in trouble, it was extremely important for me to not ask about anything. Did I have questions? 100%. I very much did, but I knew that I could not talk to her about the case.
But detectives are asking questions, interviewing those close to Lori like Katina Vasquez, the ex-fiance of Michael's childhood friend. They wanted to know what she knew about Lori's supposed divorce from Michael Shaver.
She was telling me that she was filing for divorce. And then next thing you know, she's married. And I was like, how does that happen that quick? Like, it was just weird. Like, I'm like, this makes no sense.
Investigators also tracked down that friend of Michael's who Lori said picked him up in a black SUV and drove him to Georgia.
Did you ever give him a ride to Georgia?
Georgia? No.
No. Do you recall what kind of vehicle you owned?
I believe it was a Mitsubishi Galant.
You remember what color it was?
Blue.
When detectives talk to the Shavers' neighbor, Wilma, they hear something really dark and unexpected. She tells them Michael Shaver actually started the project that eventually became the fire pit and concrete slab where his body was found.
He was working very hard to make her a duck pond back there. And the reality of what he was doing was that he was digging his own grave.
What physical evidence was there?
We have a body buried in the backyard. We have evidence of a gunshot wound. And we have a caliber bullet that was consistent with the type of weapon that was sold by Lori Shaver.
Another witness comes forward to say that after Michael disappeared, leaving everything behind, Lori began selling his belongings.
You are the owner of JB Guns in Bushnell, Florida, is that correct?
I am, yes, sir. After I had seen the news report and I saw the lady's picture, as in the wife of the missing person, I was like, I bought all of his guns, I'm pretty sure of. She's like, well, he just up and left. And I'm just selling all this stuff.
Key to this case, police think Lori Shaver was hiding that her husband was gone for good, pointing to data suggesting those Facebook updates and messages to family and friends, seemingly from Michael, were actually coming from her.
These Facebook message postings by both Lori Shaver's account and Michael Shaver's account had the same IP address, which means the same person was using them both.
Everything pointed back at Lori Shaver.
More than 2 years after Michael Shaver's remains were found, his wife has now been arrested for his death.
Lori Shaver is charged with second-degree murder with a firearm. She pleads not guilty.
I didn't understand how she was possibly arrested. Yes, they're saying that they found a body on the property. Yes, they're saying that Lori had some major involvement in this. There's always two sides to a story. There always is. There's no doubt in my mind that Lori she didn't kill Michael.
After about 2.5 months in jail, Lori Shaver is released on bond.
That's when this bizarre video surfaces of Lori and her defense attorney making a plea to please donate to her defense fund.
Good morning, I'm Jeffrey Weggs. Sitting to my left is Lori, a client of mine.
I don't know why I've been targeted, why I've been set up, or charged with this heinous crime. I am not guilty. I am a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a neighbor, I'm a servant of God, I'm a wife, and I am a devoted mother of 4.
In that same video, Lori's attorney says his client is innocent, and at trial, they are prepared to say who actually killed Michael Shaver.
We're not going to mention his name. He proclaimed he had the special skills to kill somebody.
As her trial nears, Lori Shaver's attorney makes another shocking claim. Now, it's not just one person responsible for her husband's murder, but 2. And who they say that second shooter is takes everyone by surprise.
Honestly, I've never heard such craziness.
Happening today, jury selection will begin in the trial of a Claremont woman accused of killing her husband.
In September, almost 9 years after Michael Shaver was last seen alive, prosecutors are now hoping to prove that Lori Shaver was the one who killed him. But they'll have to do it without fingerprints, DNA, or other forensic evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about common sense.
In your opening remarks, you made the comment that you have to use a little bit of common sense here.
We have the defendant's husband buried in her own backyard, and that points directly to Lori Shaver.
In their opening statement, the defense finally discloses who they say actually killed Michael Shaver. It wasn't Lori, it was Jeremy Townsend, or Jay, that man she had an affair with before meeting Travis. And they say someone else fired a shot too, Lori's then 7-year-old daughter, Isabel.
I shot my dad. That was a bombshell.
The defense presents a stunning story to the jury.
Isabel Shaver and this young girl, in desperation and in fear, runs and retrieves a firearm as she believes she shot Michael.
They were separated. Michael came in the residence one morning. Lori was getting the children ready for school. Lori refused to go back with him. He got angry, started beating on her. Lori ended up on the floor. Isabel retrieved a handgun, and she believes she shot Michael Shaver.
And at that very moment, the defense says Jeremy stormed into the house and took control.
And walks Jenny, takes a gun from Isabel, shoots Michael Shaver, says, Lori, get these kids out of here, I'll take care of this.
But prosecutors say this story is preposterous. They argue that Lori Shaver acted alone and killed Michael for her own selfish reasons, to be with her then boyfriend, Jeremy Townsend.
What is the motive here?
Lori really wanted to be with Jeremy. She actively sought to ruin that relationship between Jeremy and his wife.
She pretended to be Michael in order to out Jeremy to his wife. And she tried to do that through Facebook messages from Michael's Facebook account. And when she didn't get a response from Jeremy's wife, Vanessa, she sent a bouquet of flowers to Vanessa with a card.
The card that came with those flowers, did that include a message?
It did.
And can you go ahead and read that message to the jury, please?
Sorry.
That's okay. Ms. Townsend, is this a difficult day for you?
It is. It says, roses are red, violets are blue. My wife is a whore. Your husband is too. Sorry about this. Check your Facebook message. We need to talk. Mike.
The flowers that were delivered to Vanessa Townsend were actually paid for from Lori Shaver's bank records.
Up until this point, did you have any knowledge that your husband was potentially having an affair?
No.
Lori was convinced that Jay was leaving his wife, and that couldn't have been further from the truth.
State calls Jeremy Townsend.
He walked into the courtroom in a suit, but he looked like Aquaman with the long hair.
Was there ever a time that Lori Shaver expressed to you that she wanted you to leave your wife to be with her?
Yes.
And was that what you wanted?
No. They're supposed to be friends with benefits, no strings attached.
He went on and said, I had nothing to do with this.
At any point did you shoot or injure Michael Shaver?
No.
At any point were you involved with disposing of the body of Michael Shaver?
No.
And after the affair was exposed, what happened with your relationship with Lori?
I cut it off.
They say it's not the crime that gets you caught, but the cover-up. And prosecutors argue that Lori's attempts to impersonate Michael online show all the signs of a badly executed cover-up.
Facebook helped solve the murder.
Michael's family up north had heard from his Facebook account.
Was there a period of time where you reached out to Michael Shaver in an attempt to communicate with him?
Yes. It says, "Hey, Uncle Michael."
And what was that response?
Who are you? I don't have any family anymore. I have no clue who you are. Now stop messaging me.
Lori was using his cell phone and his Facebook account to present this facade that Michael was still alive.
The defense argues the digital evidence is unreliable. It could have been anyone accessing Michael Shaver's Facebook account.
You'll ask yourself this: how does this digital data prove that Lori Shaver killed Michael Shaver? It doesn't.
But prosecutors say they have more than digital evidence. They argue that Lori had access to multiple firearms that could have killed Michael Shaver, including the pink and black .38 caliber revolver that she sold after Michael was last seen.
Did you examine that firearm?
Yes, I did.
Were you also provided a projectile recovered from the skull of Michael Shaver?
Yes. The projectile was in very rough condition.
Despite the damaged condition of that projectile, were you able to determine the caliber?
In this case, the caliber was determined to be .38 caliber class.
But the defense points out that the bullet recovered from Michael Shaver's skull could not be definitively linked to her pink handgun.
Let me just see if I'm summing this up correctly. The projectile that was in the body could not be linked up to the gun that you're sitting there on, correct?
All class characteristics were in agreement. The result of the individual comparison was inconclusive.
Okay. How many guns fit into that class?
Thousands of guns, if not tens of thousands.
With the state's case laid out, it's now the defense's turn, and they're about to call their star witness, Isabel Shaver, Lori and Michael's daughter, who was just 7 years old when he was last seen alive. She's now 15 and says she's prepared to tell the jury what really happened.
Isabel, I'm sorry I have to do this. Do you know anything about the death of your father?
I do.
Have you given thought to taking the stand?
Still haven't decided. I would love to be able to speak my story.
Now, the defense also confirms with me that they say her daughter will take the stand.
Lori Shaver's defense is built on what she says really happened the day her husband died. And to lay out that story, they call to the stand the person they claim fired what they say was the first of 2 shots, her 15-year-old daughter, Isabel.
My name is Isabel Shaver.
Because she's a minor, Judge Carrie Rada does not allow Isabel's face to be shown during her testimony.
How old are you, Isabel?
I'm 15. I turned 16 this Sunday.
Would you explain your relationship to Lori Shaver?
Lori Shaver is my mother. Me and her are very close. She's like my best friend and a mom in one.
Has anybody pressured you to testify in this cause?
Absolutely not, no.
Do you know anything about the death of your father?
I do.
Do you know anything about how your father died?
I do.
Isabel tells jurors a stunning story that when she was just 7 years old, she witnessed a violent confrontation between her mother and her father, Michael, while the two were separated.
He pushed her onto the ground and he started kicking her in the stomach and in the back. And he was like saying that he was going to kill her at this time. I heard my mom screaming for help, obviously, and then he put his foot on the side of her face and pushed it into the ground. And I didn't hear her anymore. And so I went to my mom's room and I went at her end table and I grabbed her gun and I shot him.
Isabel Shaver goes on to say that after she fired that shot, the man her mother was dating at the time, Jeremy, or Jay as they called him, came barreling into the house.
He took the gun from me, and then he shot him again. He told my mom to take us out of the house, take us to school. We're not to tell anybody. We can't call the cops. We can't say anything, or else he was going to do the same thing to me and my brother.
Isabel stated this house was so riddled with so much atmospheric tension that it just didn't seem different. It just was kind of the way they were living, but she didn't say anything to anybody about it.
Remember, Jeremy Townsend testified he had no involvement in Michael Shaver's murder or the disposal of the body. And when prosecutors cross-examine Isabel, they challenge her memory of this event.
You don't know what grade you were in when that happened, right?
I don't.
You don't know what month this happened in, correct?
Correct.
You don't know what year this happened in, correct?
Yes.
When you have a witness take the stand that says, I had a role in it, that's pretty incredible.
I think it was very clear that she was willing to do whatever she could to try to protect her mother and avoid her mom going to prison. It also is not consistent at all with any of the physical evidence. Her version of events involved 2 shots, and there was absolutely no question that there was only 1 shot in this case, and that was the one to the back of the head.
The defense would call Lori Shaver.
Next up, the woman at the center of the case, facing life in prison, takes the stand in her own defense.
Let's talk about the event that's landed you here.
I got up, got my coffee, and then that's when I noticed he was sitting out on the back patio. So I went out there, and we started talking, and it escalated. He was holding on to me. And at that point, I was just trying to convince him, like, okay, enough. We'll work it out. And he told me not this time. I was screaming as he's smashing my face into the porch.
What's the next thing you recall?
I more or less heard it. And then I think I seen her.
What's Isabel do?
She had fired a gunshot. The next thing I recall is seeing Jeremy, and hearing the gunshot at essentially the same time. He tells me to take the kids, get them out of the house, and he would take care of it. He insinuated that if we said anything, that he was not going to take the blame for this.
So what did you do?
I took the kids. I left.
Lori Shaver tells the jury that when she came home that day, Jeremy was gone, and so was Michael's body. According to Lori, she had no idea his remains were buried in her backyard.
Lori, the jurors are going to ask themselves, why didn't you call the police?
Scared? I didn't know what to do.
When prosecutors finally get their chance to question Lori Shaver, they challenge her for more details about what they say is a story full of lies.
The biggest question I have for you is, when did your husband get killed?
The exact date I cannot recall. It was
beginning of May 2016. It was not November.
Prosecutors say Lori wants jurors to believe that Michael was actually alive in May because that's a full 6 months after he was last seen by anyone.
When he left and moved out, he left his car, correct? He stopped going to work and lost his job because of it, correct?
I was not aware of that at that time.
November 2015, he just vanishes off the face of the earth. No one can account for him, correct?
I don't believe that that's true.
The day that he showed up in May of 2016, what vehicle did he use to get to your house that day? So he gets walked? When you take what she said happened there that day and then just break it down, well, if that's true, where was Mike's car? If that's true, when his body is found, why is he dressed like he was in bed sleeping?
It's hard to make a story fit all of the different pieces of evidence if it's not true.
She made up this May 2016 story to distract. Jeremy Townsend talked to law enforcement 3 separate times. The evidence that has been presented is not that in May of 2016, Jeremy Townsend shot this man in the back of the head. It's that Lori killed him in November of 2015. Mike is buried in her backyard. She's the one that installs the fire pit and puts the cement slab over his body. She lied to friends, family, and law enforcement about his whereabouts for years. All the evidence points to her because she is guilty of murder in the 2nd degree. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Canuccio. Mr. Wicks?
Yes, sir.
Has any single witness taken the stand and shown you one piece of evidence that established Lori Lee Shaver killed Michael Shaver? 0. 0.
And then it's left to the jury to decide which version of the story is the truth.
And you wondered in the end if the person who did this was ever going to be held responsible.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes.
Right now, closing arguments are done for the Lake County woman charged with her husband's murder.
She is facing 3 possible charges, 2nd-degree murder being the biggest one, up to life in prison.
The biggest thing that I struggle with and that my heart breaks for is my kids. I don't want to see the look on their face when I have to tell them Mom's not coming home.
The jury deliberates for just under 4 hours before returning a verdict.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of 2nd-degree murder.
The jury saw through all of her lies, manipulations, all of it. They didn't buy her story for a second. They didn't buy her daughter's story.
It was hard to hear Isabel saying those things about her dad, and I kind of feel really bad for her. Everybody that knows Mike knows he had a great relationship with both of his kids.
Your reaction, your thoughts as soon as that verdict came down?
Elation. We were very happy. This was a long time coming. It will not bring him back, but there will be justice for him finally.
It was celebration, sadness, several different emotions. She was part of our family, somebody that you feel that you love and you trust. So also a letdown in some ways, and to see somebody that you did care for at one time that did something so bad.
No, I did not get the answers. Why? Why wouldn't she have just let him go in a divorce? She could have carried on her life.
And she got married here.
Yep, right out there. We walked by here, walked through here, walked all the way out, and yep. right past, you know, a human being. That was just, it's so disturbing because, again, we've been out here. I've stood right where he was, and I didn't know.
It upsets you.
Yeah.
Michael, he was such a great, great person. He loved everybody with all that he had, and I think his spirit will finally be able to be at peace.
Lori Shaver was recently sentenced to life in prison for Michael Shaver's murder. She says she plans to appeal her conviction.
And for their part, Michael's family says they are hoping to establish visitation with the 2 children he shared with Lori. That's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
An all-new 2020 starts right now.
Family secrets are spilling out.
I need my daddy.
A teenager with a strange demeanor.
She's clutching a teddy bear.
How can she be actually 18 years of age?
And an even stranger story about her missing mother.
I didn't know Bonnie was going to go missing.
Something happened to her. She didn't just disappear on her own free will.
So you knew something was really wrong?
Pretty much.
Has she ever disappeared before?
No.
Whoever has my sister, please let her go.
Maybe somebody saw her somewhere at a bus station, at a train station, in a cab, at the mall.
Nathan, you've agreed to walk us through a few areas. We're running out of time.
He said, at times I feel like I have the devil living inside me.
Turns out Bonnie wasn't the only missing person in that household.
Police in Alton need the public's help finding a missing woman. Bonnie Woodward was last seen Friday afternoon.
It's a missing persons case that will confound an Illinois community.
I didn't see anything.
Flooding seasoned investigators with no shortage of witnesses.
And then possibly tried to get rid of her,
These interviews happening in this room right here, focusing on one person, one mother of 4, whose sudden and perplexing disappearance sets off alarm bells. It all started at the end of a day's shift, one afternoon in June.
Bonnie Woodward got off around 3 p.m. that day. She was working at what was called Eunice Smith Nursing Home here in Alton. It was a normal day of work for her.
47 years old, worked at the nursing home for over 25 years, I believe, and just a woman who was reliable.
Being a nurse's aide that's a lot of caregiving.
She did it forever. She loved what she did.
She went to work, she worked her shift, and then would come home to her children every night, as well as Gary Wilmerth, who she was dating at the time.
Gary knew that she had some sort of staff meeting after work from 2 to 3. So he really wasn't expecting her home until, 3:34.
That boyfriend, Gary Wilmerth, says he tries getting a hold of Bonnie around 4 o'clock. But his call goes straight to voicemail.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Everybody was like, she would call if she was 5 minutes late.
Oh no, everything she did was on a schedule.
Nobody had seen her. This was very abnormal for Bonnie. She was always in communication with her family.
After she didn't return home, her family members, they reached out, they tried to call her, they tried to text her, and no response.
And by the next morning, when Bonnie doesn't show up for work, her co-workers are alarmed by something they see in the parking lot.
Her red Chevy Avalanche was still parked at the nursing home, had not moved from the previous date. Windows had been down, even during the overnight hours.
She loved that truck. She worked really hard to get that truck. She absolutely loved it. So she wouldn't have just left it.
At that point, it was clear that there was something wrong. And Gary reported her disappearance to our department the morning of the 26th. When we work on the missing person and we're dealing with an adult, you have to keep in mind the possibility if they just want to take a break. They want to get away from family and friends, and that's natural. Also, I have to look into what's usual and what's their history.
Detectives assigned to the case soon learn that 47-year-old Bonnie Woodward is a force of nature.
Bonnie survived breast cancer. She was a fierce mother to 4 children.
Bonnie has 2 grown children from her first marriage, Joseph, who's 28, and Jennifer, 26. Bonnie is also mom to 2 stepkids, Heather and Aaron. She adopted them after their father, Bonnie's 3rd husband, passed away.
Heather was about 17 years old at this time, and Aaron was special needs, and she cared for him every day.
Bonnie is also a devoted grandmother. She grew up as one of 9 siblings, so she has a large, extended family. What kind of aunt was she?
She was the aunt that took a second to actually listen to you if something was going on.
And she had a big personality.
Oh, yeah, no, huge personality. Very loving. Her house is where a lot of the cousins all congregated. She had this little case in her living room, and she'd have little figurines and random stuff that had dolphins on it. None of it made sense to me, but she loved them.
So she was the social hub?
Kind of, yeah. She kind of liked having everybody around.
So you knew something was really wrong?
Pretty much.
With the clock ticking, the Alton detectives start their missing person investigation where you'd expect, at the last place she was reportedly seen.
This is where Bonnie worked?
Yes, this Eunice Smith Nursing Home.
And she was a very consistent employee.
Yes, didn't miss any work at all, and certainly wouldn't miss without calling in.
And so where was her car parked?
It was in the spots here.
And the windows were rolled down?
Yeah, windows were rolled down, so you would have to imagine that she expected to come back to the vehicle.
Back here, presumably no surveillance was captured.
No, at that time there was no surveillance back here that we could rely on.
Without any surveillance footage, officers are hopeful that Bonnie's car may actually give them some clues as to what may or may not have happened.
The vehicle, there's no significant damage to it or anything like that that would cause us any alarm. And upon looking at the inside, there was no evidence of a struggle. So we ended up having this vehicle towed to our police department, secured until we could process it and also dust it for prints.
One of the early things was how Bonnie Woodward was really regular with cashing her paycheck. The day she disappeared was payday, and she would, every time she was paid on Fridays, she would take that check to the bank.
That was ritual.
Ritual. The check never got cashed. She never went to the bank.
Nothing happened with any of her phone, social media, bank accounts, all went dead as of 4 p.m. that day.
And so then we have to look at what other troubles that she may have in her life. We have to look at prior relationships. We have to look at Gary Wilmarth, her current boyfriend.
And so what did you find when you dug into Gary's background?
Gary's got a colorful past. He's a convicted felon, and they've had some domestic issues.
And just for the record, sir, what is your name, your full name?
Gary, G-A-R-Y.
Okay.
Wilmarth, W-I-L-M-U-R-T-H.
Bonnie was the love of my life, and she was a good-hearted woman, and I mean, she put up with me, and I mean, that wasn't easy.
When Gary's talking to police, he tells them that they've been an on and off couple for about 7 years.
Everything good over the past 10 months between you two? Ever any arguments or fights or domestics?
Little money problem, you know, because construction's slow.
Right.
But we've been working it out.
I mean, I'm not a good boy. I mean, I've had a record myself in the past. I paid my time, and Bonnie knew that. Bonnie still loved me. She didn't care what I did in my past. And these cops sure did.
Have you heard anything from her at all since then?
Nothing.
Bonnie's daughter, Jennifer, alibied him at home.
And Gary was waiting for her to get home because
She said they were both there the whole day together.
And ultimately, he did end up doing a polygraph examination and passed it.
But as investigators start talking to Bonnie's co-workers, they learn she was last seen getting into a strange car with an unknown man.
I guess I had never seen the man before.
The police wondered, could Bonnie be having an affair? Or was it something worse?
Nothing is out of the realm of possibility. How did she know this person?
I mean, Mom had to have known the person she got into the car with.
Going into its third day, a baffling mystery is unfolding in Alton, Illinois, a river town outside St. Louis. Nurse's aide and mom of 4, Bonnie Woodward, vanishes in broad daylight just before her 48th birthday.
Alton, it's a nice little town. It's situated on the Mississippi River and the Illinois River. It has a vibrant downtown, a lot of history, and it's a great place to live and work.
So, with no sign of Bonnie anywhere, her family goes to the media, her older brother tearfully pleading with the public.
I want my sister. Somebody please call us and let us know what's going on. We don't know nothing.
Nobody wanted this case solved more than her siblings.
Whoever has my sister, please let her go.
Bonnie's sister, Rebecca, and her niece, Rachel, don't hesitate to join in on the efforts, making the 700-mile drive to Alton from their home in Louisiana.
Why were you concerned enough to get in the car and start driving?
Well, because she wouldn't just not come home. I just remember having a stack of flyers and going around and putting them on every telephone pole that I could.
The police naturally talked to the people that had last seen Bonnie.
Can I get your last name?
Bosley, B-A-U-S-I-L-Y.
Wanda Bosley was one of the co-workers that worked with Bonnie at the Eunice Smith nursing home.
We have to find out how Bonnie was during the day. Was she acting appropriate? Was she, upset about anything?
Okay, and so you went into this meeting, she was in the meeting. You got out around 3 o'clock, and what happened then?
So, well, at first, in the meeting, I just want to say, when she talks, she's loud, and she seemed different to me. She was quiet, and her voice was more mellow like mine now, and I remember thinking, man, Bonnie seems a little different today.
After that staff meeting, Wanda says she headed to the back parking lot to get into her car. Out of the corner of her eye, she spots Bonnie. And she's not alone.
She was standing, say if this is the back of her truck, the guy was standing here. And I was looking, and Bonnie had walked up the side of her truck to the driver's door. And the guy was just standing there. I didn't see anything strange, but it kind of seemed strange because I guess I had never seen the man before.
Can you describe the guy for me?
He was a white male. He looked like he wasn't very tall, maybe 5'8", 5'9" or so. Mm-hmm. He was like a medium-sized guy. His hair was a salt and pepper, more grayer than black.
Turns out, Wanda is not the only coworker to have witnessed this strange sighting. Multiple people report to police seeing this mystery man sitting in a gray or silver sedan similar to a Chevy Malibu, waiting for Bonnie to get out of her staff meeting.
So the gray Chevy Malibu was directly to the right of her vehicle.
Plenty of people saw him.
Yeah, after the meeting, people would see her interacting with him outside both vehicles and ultimately got into the car with him.
She did get into the car willingly, and it did not appear that she was forced or anything like that.
Police in Alton need the public's help finding a missing woman, 48-year-old Bonnie Woodward.
The information regarding the person that people had seen on that parking lot was crucial.
She reportedly was seen talking to someone inside a gray or silver Chevy Malibu.
So talking to the family and friends, did anybody like a past relationship match the description?
And you don't know anybody off the top of your head who would have a silver Malibu?
Her ex-boyfriend, Chester, Nick Adams. Chester's dad has a 2009 Impala. If you put an Impala and the Malibu side by side, there's just a little bit of difference. It'd be hard to tell the difference.
That's true. Who does this guy sound like to you?
Chester McAdams. That's the only guy I can figure out that fits the description. It's Chester. I mean, I don't like to pinpoint a guy out, but Chester fits every description. And like the silver Impala, his dad has a silver Impala.
Do you know that for sure?
Yeah, because he used to date my mom.
Chester McAdams piques the detective's interest not only because he dated Bonnie for a year, but he also has an extensive criminal record.
Bonnie started to see him, and then I showed back up in the picture and ran him off. Me and Bonnie's been together probably 7 or more years. We parted about a little over 2 years, and that's when she got with that Chester guy. And
You and Chester ever have words?
Oh, big time.
Big time hate each other?
Oh, I mean,
fist fights?
I run into him in the bar. He was mad because me and Bonnie got back together. So I kind of thought maybe he was upset and might have did something to her.
And sir, for the record, I just need your last name.
McAdam, capital M, small c, capital A-D-A-M-S.
And your first, sir?
Chester.
With Chester, it was a very rocky relationship that Bonnie had with him.
We'd break up, she'd kick me out, and I'd be gone for a week or so, and then I'd be moved back in.
I've been down that road.
Okay, so then, then it would be 2 or 3 months, and then I'd be kicked out again, and then back and forth. And then about 2 months before Gary got out, she kicked me out, and then next thing I know, Gary's living there.
The family largely was saying, hey, you guys need to look at Chester McAdams. When we found Chester McAdams, he's got a beard, he's got a ponytail.
Chester clearly doesn't match the description of the man co-workers saw days earlier in the parking lot with Bonnie. But what about that tip from Bonnie's daughter, Jennifer, who said Chester's father drives a silver Chevy Impala? Detectives want to talk it over with father and son.
Do you ever drive his truck or Impala, anything like that? Do you ever allow him to borrow it for any reason?
No. I would never ask my dad to borrow his vehicle.
He'd say no.
Well, I know I'd say no right off the bat. So,
Right.
You know.
Don't even bother asking.
Don't even bother asking.
Well, I mean, we're investigating this missing person. It could be more than missing. I mean, we could have a big problem.
Yes,
And
yes.
it could be nothing.
Right.
It could be nothing.
Right. I mean, I hope it's nothing.
Chester McAdams was willing and cooperative with us, ultimately did not have direct access to a vehicle that was like that, and also we checked in with his employer and they confirmed that he was at work, so that was a dead end for us.
The family of a missing Alton woman is now offering a $5,000 reward to anyone who can find her.
You have crime in this area, but you don't have missing adults too often. We have people that run away, but they're always found. But this one, she just fell off the face of the earth.
We need to find my sister. We're running out of time. Everybody knows the first 3 days is critical.
With both Gary and Bonnie's ex cleared, detectives are hitting walls left and right. But they're about to be floored by some information that reveals a disturbing coincidence in the Woodward family.
Turns out Bonnie wasn't the only missing person in that household.
Correct.
I need my daddy.
Bonnie Woodward's disappearance is the talk of the small town in Illinois she called home.
Bonnie Woodward has been missing.
Friends and family were gathering to pray for her return.
We need to find my sister. We're running out of time.
Investigators are frustrated and increasingly concerned.
We were doing missing person flyers, talking to local media. We were trying to push this out there as much as we can.
Maybe somebody saw her somewhere at a bus station, at a train station, in a cab, at the mall. We're trying to get any kind of lead that'll take us where we need to go.
But they're all kind of wild goose chases.
Right.
It's as if she's vanished into thin air.
Right. And it wasn't without leads. Somebody would say they saw somebody similar in Pontoon Beach, Applebee's in Kansas City, but none of them appeared to have much merit.
We had to expand our investigation and look into everything about her life that was going on at that time.
You discover, wait, she's not the only missing person in that household.
Right. Right. It turns out that her stepdaughter, Heather Woodward, had been reported missing to the East Alton Police Department more than a week before.
East Alton Police Department, which is a separate police department from ours. So we were not aware of that at the time that Bonnie went missing. There was nothing 100% that told us that the two were linked. So at that point, we're having to do a dual investigation.
This is a huge coincidence in a small town that a mother and stepdaughter go missing in the same house. Huge, huge.
Remember, Heather Woodward is Bonnie's 17-year-old stepdaughter. Bonnie adopted Heather and her brother Aaron after their dad passed away when Heather was just 8.
After Bonnie adopted them, it was made very abundantly clear they're in the family. Like, those are her kids.
The house is a busy one, with Bonnie's adult daughter Jennifer and her 2 little girls, plus Heather, Aaron, and boyfriend Gary, all living under one roof. And the family tells detectives there was friction between Heather and Bonnie.
It was an unhappy teenager, and it was a stepmom giving her chores to do, and there was a little resistance. At some point they argue, and Heather wants to move out, and Bonnie initially doesn't resist the idea.
Our investigation revealed that around June 10th, Heather went with her teacher, that was Christine Scheffel, and Bonnie knew about this.
That teacher pictured in the high school yearbook along with Heather. Heather moved in with her just 2 weeks before Bonnie vanished. And now that both Bonnie and Heather are missing, investigators have lots of questions.
I'm here with the Christine Scheffel.
I wanted to get the history of how she became engaged with Heather's life. And then the number one question is, where is she now? She was last with you. Where is she at?
I had Heather now for 1 class as a freshman. For the entire year, she has been very vocal to myself and all the other teachers of the abuse that goes on at home. Things like being slapped or thrown against a wall or woke up at 3 in the morning to wash every dish in the house. Just plain crazy stuff.
And who's the one she's alleging that does all this?
Bonnie.
We knew that East Alton Police Department was aware of these reports, and we could not get anything to substantiate these reports.
Heather painted a picture of your aunt as being abusive. What do you make of those allegations of abuse?
I can't see it. I can see her being loud with anybody, child or not, and like just being vocal, but not abusive. Like, there was no way.
Heather has been telling everyone for over a year that when she turns 18, she will be kicked out. She called and said that I'm getting kicked out and I need you to come get me.
The teacher is, I believe her heart was in the right place as she's trying to help this 17-year-old child.
Bonnie called us and wanted Heather back. And I did tell her she had to go back home. So she cried most of the night.
And then whenever you came back on the 17th, she was gone.
Right.
So now, according to this teacher, Heather leaves her home on the 17th. That same day, Bonnie reports Heather as a runaway.
Bonnie went knocking on doors. It was driving Bonnie nuts because she couldn't find her.
In obtaining the reports, it was clear that Bonnie wanted to find her stepdaughter, and she was not getting the information she wanted from the teacher, and she was adamant that no matter what, she was going to find her.
And now, detectives aren't making much headway in finding Heather either. The teacher who Heather had been living with says she has no idea where Heather might have gone.
There was nothing that we could really prove that she knew where Heather was, but clearly I'm still skeptical. Are they telling the whole truth?
She never called you back once to say, hey, I'm okay, or don't worry about me, or anything like that?
No.
With her lack of intent on trying to find Heather, and if she was that much of a mentor to her, why wasn't she more concerned about Heather's whereabouts if she didn't know?
To us, it seems odd. Are you concerned about her welfare? It's odd that she hasn't called you, is what I'm a little concerned with.
I believe that she's with somebody. I mean, I don't think that she's off by herself. But I think she just doesn't want to make sure I don't get in trouble, or, I mean, she's a smart kid.
Heather's teacher's interview only raises more questions for investigators. Are these disappearances linked? And if so, how? As investigators, you're fairly convinced that she might have had something to do with the disappearance, or at the very least, know something.
We think the two events have to be linked some way. 2 missing persons from the same house, one a juvenile and one adult, like, you almost have to believe they're related. Like, it's really naive to think they're not.
After almost a week and no sign of Bonnie, her family's anguish turns pointed, lashing out at that mystery man from the parking lot.
You let my sister go, and I'll come and get her. I want my sister.
I felt like Heather had the answers that we needed. We believe she was the key to finding Bonnie.
And that's when police get a game-changing phone call from a nearby library.
I had heard it over the police scanners. It was very strange.
It seems someone showed up there with a teddy bear and a story to tell.
Pee, Mr. Bear.
Summer is in full swing here in Alton, Illinois. Backyard barbecues, 4th of July fireworks. Bonnie Woodward used to host these kinds of events, but not this year. She's been missing for a week. And in a twist, her teenage stepdaughter is missing too. Until out of the blue, 8 days after Bonnie vanished, through these doors walks the missing teenager, Heather Woodward.
The East Alton Police Department received the call from the library that there's a person saying that she's Heather Woodward. With all the speculation going around, I wanted to hear what she had to say.
They got Heather and took her to the police station, and I thought, man, they're going to find out something now.
And would you state your name, please?
Heather Woodward.
And your birthday, Heather?
Today.
Physical condition for Heather was not of anything that was of a concern. There was no injury to her. Clearly, she had been being taken care of.
Okay. What do you know about the whole situation with Bonnie and everything?
What I read in the paper.
Okay.
That's it.
And I guess you read in the paper that you were also listed as a runaway also?
And I was planning on coming home on my birthday. That was the plan, so I didn't have to go back to Bonnie's house.
I was taken back that how can she be actually 18 years of age?
Like these stupid, small, claustrophobic rooms. I need my daddy. I have to pee, Mr. Bear.
But she's clutching a teddy bear.
Yes. July 3rd is her 18th birthday, so she's a bona fide adult in the state of Illinois, but she talks more like a, well, I don't want to be insulting, but like a grade school student or a junior high student.
I'm tired. I'm ready for my nap. I need my books. I need my books. I need my books.
She showed up at a library. What did you think?
That it was absolute.
What do you mean by that?
Like, why are you showing up at a library? Who brought you? Where did you come from? Where have you been?
Something doesn't smell right.
Pretty much.
What made the decision that you would go to the library? Why not to the police department or something?
Because I always go to the library. I walk there all the time, and I wasn't comfortable walking to the police station.
Do you think you're in any trouble?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Because you had a lot of people concerned about you. We don't know what happened to you. We don't know what happened to Bonnie.
I haven't talked to my mom.
Heather's thought of it wasn't that big of a deal that Bonnie had disappeared. It didn't come across to me that she had a lot of concern about where Bonnie was at the time.
What do you think happened to her?
I don't know. I thought that maybe she hid to draw me out, and then she'll come out now that she knows that I'm home.
That's what you thought? Why would you think that?
Because sometimes that's just the way Bonnie is, and she can be mean, and I don't know, she's just mean.
You know, I gave her the safe space to talk to me about situations in the home, and pretty much the extent of it was that she was being made to do chores and clean the house. You know, typical things that I think a lot of teenagers and youths do and should be doing.
Because I'm not going back there to be slave labor and a free babysitter. I just couldn't do it no more.
From what she told multiple people, she was being physically and verbally and mentally abused. You know, it doesn't go beyond the realm of possibility that maybe she was embellishing more about that relationship between her and Bonnie to pull the heartstrings of people that, you know, were close to her, that could be of assistance to her.
And one of those people, police begin to realize, may have been that teacher, Christine Scheffel, who took Heather in.
Miss Scheffel's been there for me for 4 years. And she was afraid for me to go home because Bonnie can be mean and sometimes she hits.
There was an investigation into Bonnie's parenting.
Yeah, it's DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, and they had been involved before.
And what did they find?
It was unfounded. There's no evidence of significant abuse.
Do you think Heather was manipulating adults into thinking that her stepmother was evil?
I don't know if she was intentionally manipulating adults, but that was definitely what happened.
One thing's clear to investigators. Heather was in someone else's care in the 2 weeks after she left that teacher's house, during that critical time when Bonnie went missing. So now, of course, detectives are curious. Who was she with? And why is Heather protecting them?
And then I went to stay at a friend's house.
Okay, and who was that?
Just a friend. I don't want to get him in trouble. So, just a friend. They helped me. And they knew the situation, so.
Well, you know I have to ask who it is.
She was very resistant to talk at all about where she had been or what she's been doing and who with.
They're not gonna get in trouble, are they?
Well, I don't know about that.
They don't know nothing. They don't like Bonnie. I don't want to know where Bonnie's at.
And as seasoned investigators, you thought she's hiding something?
Yes, and we had to push hard enough to get that information.
They told me they didn't know Bonnie was missing, and I don't want to get them in trouble. And then it'll be all my fault. I didn't mean to cause no trouble, and I didn't know Bonnie was going to go missing.
So now, another layer to this mystery.
She was painting a pretty ugly picture of her stepmother.
And might that have motivated somebody to try to protect her?
Sure.
Are they just good Samaritans or something else?
There's maybe more to this than just taking care of Heather.
The trail will lead detectives down these winding roads into truly uncharted territory.
We didn't see that coming from a mile away.
Bonnie Woodward disappeared in Alton June 25th at about 3 in the afternoon after getting off work. Her family members haven't seen or heard from her since that day.
Bonnie Woodward has been missing for over a week. Her boyfriend of 7 years, Gary Wilmerth, says he catches glimpses of her in every passing stranger.
There was times I could be at a store, pass somebody on the street, could be the color of their hair. I remember talking to her grandbabies. They said, "Are you gonna bring Grandma back? You got a picture of these little bitty girls looking at me. Where's Grandma?" I just thought in my heart she was gonna come back. And I wasn't taking no for an answer. She was coming back.
And investigators say they aren't taking no for an answer either. Bonnie's now 18-year-old stepdaughter, Heather Woodward, who also strangely went missing a week before Bonnie, has now suddenly reappeared.
Okay, Heather, we just need to ask you a few things here.
After hours of questioning from detectives, Heather seems finally ready to reveal the identity of the people she says helped her run away.
They're not gonna get in trouble, are they?
I don't know about that, but I want to at least know where you been. I want to make sure that you were safe.
I stayed with some people from the church.
Do they have any kids your age?
Nathan. He's my best friend.
Okay. So is Nathan Carroll's family? Okay.
The police department had learned that she had been at the Carroll house. Heather had told Roger Carroll and Monica Carroll that she had run away from home because Bonnie was mean to her, and that she had gone to the Carroll house to hide from Bonnie until she turned 18.
Both Monica and Roger were in the medical field, and their son Nathan was a typical 16-year-old high school student. There was no criminal history on record for them, no police involvement, no arrests or anything like that.
The Carrolls go to the same church in Wood River. So the Carrolls get to know Heather, I think, on church-related activities.
And one of those church activities they went to, a graduation party for Heather and other seniors, just 2 weeks before Bonnie went missing.
We obviously had to explore the avenue of, are they involved with Bonnie?
I think the police were like, well, they had, Heather at the house, then what else do they know?
We went to their listed address in the Jersey County area. They're living in among 60 acres of property. It's just a lot of wooded, open land.
What jumps out at you about Roger Carroll?
He's in his 40s with the brownish gray hair, 5'10"-ish. His primary car is a silver 2005 Chevrolet Malibu, which is the suspect vehicle description.
We tow the vehicle to our police department and ultimately process this vehicle for any evidence related to our case.
This investigation is now shifting into high gear. Monica and Roger Carroll come in for questioning.
You are Roger William Carroll, Jr.
I don't want to answer any more questions until we speak with our attorney.
Okay. You decided to invoke your right to counsel, correct? Yes.
Heather Woodward, Bonnie's stepdaughter, is also called in again the very same day and pressed for more information about the day Bonnie went missing.
What do you know about Bonnie leaving and what happened whenever she left or was...
The resident came for, I know that she got in the car with some guy and they drove off, that's all I know.
Did they talk about the car?
Yeah, it was a silver and gray car, Malibu. That's it, that's all I know.
Does that
I know
sound like any car that you're familiar with?
No. Besides Roger's car.
Okay.
But Roger wouldn't hurt a fly.
Investigators then confront Heather with a new piece of information. They found out that she and the Carrolls were together at a lake house in the days just before Bonnie went missing.
They went down to Monica's parents in Goreville, Illinois, on a small trip, just the four of them.
And detectives grow even more suspicious when Heather shares that Roger and his son Nathan returned home by themselves on the same day Bonnie disappeared.
Roger and Nathan came home on Friday. We came home on Saturday, me and Monica.
Why did they leave on Friday?
Monica told me that he just wanted to get home, and he made Nathan go with him.
He brought Nathan with him, got up and left at 7 o'clock in the morning on June 25th, Friday morning, the day Bonnie disappeared.
Now, the question I have here is the guy that meets with Bonnie up at the nursing home, he's in a gray Malibu, silver gray Malibu. How do I know that Roger's not the one that met with Bonnie up there that Friday?
I don't know. Bonnie's never met Roger, so I don't know why she'd get in the car with him.
What if he told her, hey, I know where Heather is. Why don't you come with me and you pick her up?
I don't...
Do you think Bonnie would have gotten in the car with him then?
No, she doesn't care about me.
So you have a lot of circumstantial evidence, but nothing that cracks the case open.
It is all circumstantial.
There wasn't enough to link Roger Carroll or Monica Carroll to Bonnie's disappearance. However, both of them at that time were charged with harboring a runaway.
Both Roger and Monica plead not guilty to this charge, but this turns out to be a helpful tool for investigators.
In getting those charges, we can also get fingerprints, we can get photographs.
And then you put Roger in a lineup.
We did. We used this mugshot primarily with the employees at Unismith.
And that did not come up with a match?
It did not. That resulted in no positive IDs.
The family members must be chomping at the bit at this point.
They are, but sometimes the cases move when they want to move.
Did you feel like there had to have been somebody out there that knew more than they were saying?
I think anybody that is just trying to locate a loved one often feels like somebody's not talking or somebody's lying.
Summer winds to a close without Bonnie Woodward and without answers, until news of a body found on the banks of the Mississippi River here in Alton, Illinois, leaves her loved ones holding their breath.
Every time a body comes up, we call. 51 days exactly. She's been gone, and we have not one solid answer.
That body, it turns out, is not Bonnie Woodward. But a break in the case is coming. The lab results from Bonnie's abandoned truck are back, and the results are stunning.
The crime lab comes back with a very significant hit.
Yes.
You understand what we're trying to tell you right now? There's new physical evidence in this case.
I said we have to jump now. This is our time.
I'm thinking I'm gonna die.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Okay, we are recording.
I said, stop it! Just stop doing this! Let me go! Just let me go! I'll do anything you want me to do. Just let me go!
Tonight, a third woman in danger who broke the bizarre mystery.
Bonnie Woodward disappeared in Alton
of a
June
missing
20th.
mother.
I didn't mean to cause no trouble, and I didn't know Bonnie was gonna go missing.
Who's been hiding daughter Heather? And could Bonnie have ended up in the same place?
Family members must be chomping at the bit at this point.
It was a needle in a haystack. We had 60 acres of property. We didn't know where to look, what to look for. Nathan, you've agreed to walk us through a few areas that are of interest in our investigation.
We got a hit on the prints.
And on a scale of 1 to 10 of your suspicion level, where did it go?
Yeah, it spiked.
Any idea what they were? Little pieces of white things, but I don't know exactly what it was.
The family's falling apart, and we have to jump now. This is our time.
She now is starting to put everything together and is fearing for her own life at the same time.
He said, I have killed for you. I have killed for you.
That sounds like bingo.
Summer has turned to fall in Alton, Illinois. 48-year-old mom and nurse's aide Bonnie Woodward hasn't been seen in over 3 months. That's an eternity in a missing persons case.
We didn't know technically if she was alive or dead in the months that followed. None of her family members heard from her.
But the Illinois State Police Crime Lab has been busy processing evidence, including fingerprints found on Bonnie's truck.
In September, prints come in.
Right. I got a phone call from my evidence technician who told me we got a hit on the prints. It's Roger Carroll's. So Roger Carroll's fingerprints are on this driver's door.
And on a scale of 1 to 10 of your suspicion level, where did it go?
Yeah, it spiked.
Roger Carroll is brought in again for questioning, while police, now with probable cause, conduct a massive search at the Carroll sprawling rural residence.
It was a needle in a haystack. We had 60 acres of property. We didn't know where to look, what to look for.
Neighbors are stunned by the police operation.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Couldn't believe it, the amount of police that were coming by.
And we had more than 60 police officers.
Multiple agencies.
We had a lot of people. We had cadaver dogs.
And an airborne search.
And an airborne search, yes.
Oh, there was probably close to 30 firearms at this residence. Multiple crates of ammunition were also seen.
Oh, I thought they was going to find a body or something.
The cadaver dogs did alert on certain areas of the property, but subsequent digs of those areas revealed no results.
Meanwhile, this time in the police interrogation room for a second interview, Roger is more chatty.
My mom, she's like, oh my God, did you do this? I'm like, Mom, no, I didn't do it.
Roger tells investigators that he invited Bonnie's daughter Heather to stay with him and his family, only after becoming concerned about her account of a troubled home life.
So then Heather calls you guys?
Yes. I could hear her crying. She was just frantic, you know.
Right.
Oh my God. Bonnie called and said that she's going to come get me tomorrow, that I have to pack my stuff up, and you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. And
Right. So she kind of played on your soft hearts and said, can I come stay there?
She never said, can I come stay? Just to be honest about it, I'm the one who said, hey, you know, this is a bunch of crap. Why don't we just go, you know, she can stay with us.
Okay, okay.
I'm the one that said that.
As far as Bonnie, you've never had a conversation with that woman, and you've never been face to face with that woman. You know where she lives, but you've never, other than you've driven by there, like 2 times, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've never been in her vehicle, right? And you've never had occasion to handle her vehicle or touch her vehicle.
That's correct.
But there's one little detail investigators have been deliberately coy about when talking to Roger Carroll.
So finally I was, at the end of the interview, I was like, how do we explain it that your fingerprints are all over her driver's door. He stumbled just a bit and says,
Then I've been trained. I mean, no, there's no way that my fingerprints are on that car door or my DNA is on that car door. There just is no way.
he's asking, like, my prints aren't on that door. I'm like, yeah, well, yes, they are.
I don't see, there's no way my fingerprints are all over the door of that car.
They are.
So he denied it still, and the interview terminated pretty quick after that.
Not only were his fingerprints found on her car, but he denied ever having met her or ever been there and ever been in that parking lot. So what do you make of that? What?
That he's lying?
There's a third interview with Heather. Heather stays firm during this interview that she didn't have anything to do with it.
Bonnie went missing around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And his prints are on Bonnie's truck. What do you think?
I don't know. Because I would never want nothing to happen to Bonnie. I mean, like, sometimes you know, she's mean, but I wouldn't do that to her. I didn't tell him to touch Bonnie. She was the only thing I knew. I wouldn't hurt her.
The police process Roger's gray sedan, but here's the thing. They don't find any fibers or DNA belonging to Bonnie or even her fingerprints. And they don't come up with much of the Carroll house either.
After the search in September, there was really no evidence found at the residence that 100% put Bonnie there at the Carroll property.
When you take somebody to trial for first-degree murder, you better be right and you better be ready because you only get one shot.
We still didn't have Bonnie's remains. We didn't know if Bonnie was alive or dead at that time. And what we did know is that Roger Carroll was lying. Roger Carroll, based on the lies that he told, was charged with the offense of obstruction.
Family members and friends felt that he needed to be charged with murder, but based on it only being a circumstantial case at this point, that would have been quite a stretch for us.
So the case goes cold. Your aunt is still missing. What was that like for your family?
I know that it was very hard emotionally for many family members.
It would take 8 years and one newly installed prosecutor combing through a pile of Madison County cold cases.
And the first one you stumbled on was Bonnie Woodward.
First one, Bonnie Woodward.
To breathe life back into Bonnie Woodward's investigation.
Jennifer Mudge decides to try to open a cold case, but even before you can relaunch anything, you get a startling phone call.
I got a call from Roger Carroll's neighbor, and he's asking me, he's like, do you know what's going on at the Carroll's house?
I said, God, Roger, stop it. Just stop doing this. Let me go. Just let me go. I'll do anything you want me to do. Just let me go. I'm fighting. I'm fighting with everything that's within me.
What are you thinking at the time?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm going to die.
Roger Carroll had been charged with obstruction of justice in the disappearance of Bonnie Woodward. But now, 8 years later, he's being accused of something else altogether by, of all people, his wife of over 30 years, Monica.
In March of 2018, we received information from the Jersey County Sheriff's Department that there was a domestic situation in which Roger had caused injury to Monica.
I didn't know his connection, right? I didn't know this was the Bonnie Woodward suspect.
So I went the next day, met her several hours from here where she was kind of hiding out and interviewed.
Okay, we are recording.
He told me I was fat, disgusting, so fat and disgusting that nobody would want to have anything to do with me.
The first thing you notice on the dash cam is A, the injuries to her face, and B, beyond the injuries, just the fear.
She said for the most part it was a good marriage until there was some infidelity like a few years prior. And she had recently figured out more infidelity and then had filed for divorce.
He was really withdrawn after served him with the divorce papers. I thought he would be happy because just a couple weeks before he said, I want a divorce.
They had separate bedrooms, but while she slept in her bedroom, she not only locked the door, but she put a dresser up against the door because she was scared.
Monica tells Detective Nick Manns about the alleged attack, in which, as she's getting ready for work, she says Roger corners her in the laundry room.
Roger is looking out the garage door, like making sure Nathan has left. And he turned and he acted like he was going to have normal conversation. And he reached over to the back of my head, grabbed my hair, and jerked me, and then dragging me around by my hair with his right hand. He was hitting me in the head with the taser gun.
And how do you know it was a taser gun? What was it doing?
Because it shocked me.
So he drags it up your neck?
He drags it up my neck. He looked shocked. And I was screaming, "Roger, don't do this. Roger, don't do this." I started screaming, "Nathan! Nathan!" Screaming for Nathan as hard as I could. Screaming for help.
Nathan, unfortunately,
had blood smear.
All these red marks are from your fight with him.
These are from him.
During this time, Monica does what so many victims unfortunately have to do, but it's a survival thing, is how am I going to get out of the situation? And she starts to de-escalate it slowly, verbally de-escalate the situation.
I was just thinking, don't get him agitated, talk him down. And I said, "Roger, you've been a good dad. You were a good husband, but you're not the man that I married 30 years ago." And he'd said it before. He said, "I know. I'm not that same person." He said, "I am a monster." He said, "I have so much anger and hate in me, and I can't control it no more." He said, "At times I feel like I have the devil living inside me."
Eventually that got to the point where he allowed her to get up and get ready for work and go.
As soon as I got in my car, I hit the lock button, put it in reverse, and took out.
Then she provided us information that she knew him to possess firearms, and she believed him to be suicidal at the time.
He says, "I've been thinking about just going out into the woods and never coming back."
Detective Mann says he went to search for Roger the morning of the alleged attack.
We believe he's a danger, obviously, to her and to our community, but also to himself.
So I'm driving down this road, which is Creek Road, which is where he lives. And this is actually, that would be his house at the time. He and Monica lived there. That was their home. I keep going up this hill. You can see it's pretty rugged terrain. I don't even realize at that time that this is his property. So I go up here and I go left and I drive across this field, and I get out of my car. And when I get up along this trail, I see something down there, and I keep moving closer, and it's him.
Roger was lethargic. I felt in his jacket pocket, which turned out to be a bag of needles, of syringes. Then I found a vial of what I knew to be insulin. I asked him if he was diabetic, and he said no, that he had hurt his wife and that he was trying to kill himself. But I called my dispatch and said, "Send an ambulance this way."
Let the ambulance know. This guy's not diabetic. He took insulin.
Attention, Brighton Rescue, Creek Road, for 52-year-old male. Took an overdose of insulin and suicide attempt.
But what Detective Mann soon learns is that his fellow investigator, Scott Golicki, has been looking at Roger Carroll as Bonnie Woodward's possible killer.
Immediately, Scott and I said, the family's falling apart, and we have to jump now. This is our time.
Because at that point, you double down on every member of the Carroll family.
Right. We need a talker.
They need a talker, and they're about to get one. And investigators get a story they had not prepared for. Newly installed prosecutor Jennifer Mudge is working hard with police to try to solve Bonnie Woodward's cold case. They believe they can break it if a Carroll family member talks. As detectives are talking to Roger Carroll's wife, Monica, they get intriguing new info. She remembers her husband taking a peculiar interest in Bonnie Woodward's daily life before she disappeared.
Monica talked about conversations that she thought was odd about where specifically Bonnie worked, what type of work schedule she had.
I don't remember what shift she worked or, the days, but I remember those were in conversation. I just remember thinking that it was very odd that he's asking all these details.
She now is starting to put everything together and is fearing for her own life at the same time.
Looking back on it now, I've been scared for a long time, but I wasn't to the point to admit it yet.
But the really chilling words about Roger, that was still to come.
He said, I have killed for you. I have hurt a lot of people, but I killed for you. And I think that's Bonnie.
Meanwhile, Roger is released from the hospital after his insulin overdose and is brought directly into police custody.
Sit right there.
Where Detective Golicky greets him again after 8 long years.
Roger.
What are we doing?
What's going on? Remember me, Scott Golicky.
So after all that, you sit down with Roger years later from the last interrogation.
Yes.
Is he a different man?
Yes, we both aged a lot, and probably me more than him. After the domestic, he was clearly suicidal. And so when I see him, it's not his best day.
You know, I had to say a word, but if you want to hear me out, I think it might be worth your while, but it's your prerogative. You're driving this bus.
I had started it with, hey, Roger, you don't have to say anything if you don't want, but we've opened this case. This train's coming down the road.
I think what's going to happen now is that this is a homicide investigation, and it's moving in that direction.
I was basically telling him charges on this case are now imminent.
But some of the intimate details and the specific details, only you know. It's the right thing to do for Bonnie herself, also the right thing for you. There's no way you're enjoying living with this.
But if Detective Golicky is counting on a crisis of conscience from Roger Carroll, he's about to be disappointed.
We've opened this case. This train's coming down the road. Like, I'm giving you an opportunity to try to mitigate the circumstances.
Are you comfortable with the whole situation?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you. Call my attorney, please.
Like, I interviewed him for an hour and some change, and really for 55 minutes, he just didn't speak.
Since Roger completely clams up, they bring his wife Monica in again. And turns out she does have more to share.
So you had a feeling that something
went right?
Something happened. Otherwise, I think you would have questioned it. Your internal feelings.
Said that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
That things weren't right. When he said that he's killed people for me, to protect me and Nathan. I know that's not right. I know it's not right that he should kill someone, feel that he has the right to kill someone to protect me.
And you're not aware of anything else in your history with Roger or, with Nathan that he would be talking about other than Bonnie Woodward.
Right. The only person that come to my mind would be Bonnie.
Monica says Roger issues her a stark warning about Bonnie's family.
He made it sound like it'd be my fault if something happened to our family. If I ever talked.
So I didn't want to be the one to be the cause of our family being torn apart. I didn't want to hear it. As I recall, I told him I didn't want to hear it.
We knew that Monica was not there at that time, and we were also pretty confident that she didn't show up until a day later.
That's when Monica describes approaching their son Nathan with her suspicions.
I told Nathan that Roger told me, I have killed for you. And he was like, don't ever repeat that, Mom. Don't ever repeat it.
But what might it take for Nathan to start talking? Investigators are drilling down on the Carroll family, and the story of what they think might have happened to Bonnie Woodward is beginning to take shape.
Monica, she's not present. She's not a co-defendant on the incident.
I honestly do believe that he did away with Bonnie Woodward. I don't know how. I don't know how.
We doubled down on the theory that Nathan was likely with Roger at the time that Bonnie disappeared.
Nathan was 16 years old at the time that this crime was committed. Nathan is now 24. You're talking about a kid versus an adult. So I think maybe you focus on him.
We made several attempts to talk to Nathan, and he refused to talk to law enforcement.
We served him with a subpoena to come testify in front of the grand jury. I made a decision to grant him immunity at the time if he would tell us the full truth. And then fate sort of took over from there.
What did he say that tipped his hand to you that he was about to spill the whole truth?
He held up the immunity paper and said, "This is good no matter what I tell you." And I said, yes. He put his hands on the rail, and boy, that testimony was gripping.
He broke down and he started crying, and he said he was going to tell us everything.
That's kind of a thing maybe you see on TV with people breaking down in the courtroom and spilling the beans in the courtroom, but it really never happens. But it did.
Sitting in the room was 12 grand jurors, myself and Jennifer, and Nathan's attorney. It was absolute silence. You could hear the clock tick.
It's like watching the weight of the world being lifted off this young man's shoulders.
He told the entire story about what happened that day.
He says that he's on vacation with his whole family. They have Heather there. And his dad said to him the night before, "You and I are leaving early tomorrow." And they drove to Eunice Smith Nursing Home, and his dad said, "Good, she's at work."
Then after they get home, Roger changed clothes, clipped his fingernails, he shaved, and retrieved his Stoeger 9mm from the house and left Nathan there by himself.
He told Nathan he was going to get Bonnie. Nathan set up a tent in the backyard.
The tent in the backyard was essentially a death trap to lure Bonnie to the backyard and not into the residence.
He's eating lunch. Next thing he hears is 8 or 9 gunshots, and they're close. They're in his driveway. He walks outside, and that's when he sees feet with tennis shoes on and tan scrubs. There are a few things that stay with me, like he remembers that he was eating leftover deli meat sandwiches from Heather's graduation party. If you're making a story up, you don't go that detailed into what kind of lunch you're having.
But the next detail may be the most disturbing of all. Nathan tells the grand jury that his dad had him light a fire in the backyard and testifies he watched as his father loaded Bonnie's body into a bucket loader, a tractor with a scoop on the front of it, and bring her to that burn pit.
And they start a massive fire. It had to be stoked all day, all night, every couple of hours. And Roger had Nathan help him do that.
When you heard the scope of what he confessed to, what went through your mind?
I don't think we thought fire or burned on a brush pile.
Talk about being haunted.
Right, like not only is Roger creating a horrible thing to him, for him to live with, it seems like he created a horrible thing for his son to live with.
After his grand jury testimony, Nathan brings investigators back to the house. What you're about to see is the actual video police captured as Nathan brings them back to where he says the crime took place, a spot first identified 8 years earlier by cadaver dogs.
During our search in September of 2010, we had 60 acres that we had to worry about. Now we have a few hundred feet. Nathan, you've agreed to just walk us through a few areas that are of interest in our investigation involving your father and the investigation of missing person Bonnie Woodward. Nathan points out the back corner of the residence where he found Bonnie's body and saw her, where the shot had come from.
This is where she laid. I never saw the full body. I was standing over there. Okay. And I saw feet.
It was in that site that we did find a 9mm cartridge, which was significant because Nathan had identified that Roger had used a 9mm handgun ultimately that day in shooting Bonnie.
The second site that Nathan took law enforcement to was what we refer to as the burn pit.
Followed by the creek, where Nathan says he saw his dad dump Bonnie's ashes.
So we had a site number 3 for where this was dumped into the creek bed. Was that tractor with the bucket end on it?
Correct. Little pieces of white things, but I don't know exactly what it was.
You don't know any idea what they were?
My best guess would be bone, but I don't know.
Law enforcement were able to find 27 pieces of what they believe to be bone fragment that were collected and sent off to the lab to see if any DNA or any connection could be made to Bonnie.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Based on the version of events that Nathan gave, we felt comfortable charging Roger Carroll with first-degree murder of Bonnie Woodward.
A man linked in 2010 to the disappearance of Bonnie Woodward today has been charged with her murder.
I thought, wow, I mean, they're actually charging somebody for murder.
But not so fast. Some critical evidence will be unveiled in court, which could upend the case. The DNA on those bone fragments, it's not what police expected. Roger Carroll pleads not guilty to the murder of Bonnie Woodward, but he's facing some tall odds. He may just not understand how tall.
One of the key pieces of evidence turned out to be a sassafras tree.
Yes.
Tell me how you decided that you were going to try to bring that into the courtroom.
I'll be honest, we didn't decide it. It was kind of thrust upon us by an investigator in Jersey County, and all of us were kind of like, yeah, go ahead, whatever.
It isn't every day a tree becomes a star witness in a murder trial, but this was never your ordinary everyday case. So how would it factor in? Well, that and over 100 other key pieces of evidence are finally being presented in court, nearly a decade after Bonnie Woodward went missing.
I thought everybody'd give up. I mean, I didn't know what else to do, and him being charged with Bonnie's murder gave me life again. And I thought, let's do it.
The why question is very difficult in this case because there's not a clear-cut motive.
Given what you were up against, the fact that you didn't have a body, you didn't really have a motive, you didn't have a weapon, how confident were you that you could get a guilty verdict?
My partner and I said this is just never going to get any better. We have everything we're ever going to get, so we thought we'd swing the bat.
In my years as a prosecutor, I did 5 cases where the victim's body wasn't found. And it's a gamble. So sometimes what you'll do in lieu of that is you have the person declared dead. It can, depending on the case, really help the jury.
We took note that now it had been 8 years that Bonnie had not been seen. So one of the first steps we had to take was to have Bonnie officially declared deceased. and were able to obtain a death certificate based on the circumstantial evidence that she had not been seen.
My name is Jennifer Schock, and I was juror number 2.
What had you heard about the case?
I hadn't. I truly came in there not knowing anything prior.
And when you realized how big a case you were deliberating on, what was your reaction?
A little nervous to have that much pressure put on me to basically decide somebody's future.
In opening statements, the prosecution detailed what they say happened during Bonnie's kidnapping, including the fact that Roger Carroll's fingerprints were found on her car. They also brought in Roger Carroll's suicide attempt.
The jury must decide if Roger is guilty of first-degree murder. The earlier charges against him and Monica for harboring a runaway, Heather, would be dismissed. The defense opened up by vowing to poke holes in the state's case, particularly taking aim at the son, Nathan Carroll, telling the jury his story changed only after being granted immunity, or what they called a golden ticket.
Nathan was on the stand for a good 2 to 3 hours, maybe more. I mean, just like in the grand jury, you could hear a pin drop in that courtroom while he's testifying.
Because family secrets are spilling out in this courtroom.
Yeah, I mean, he's telling a cold, hard, disgusting story that clearly there was no doubt that was truthful.
Nathan testifies that he heard gunshots and told the jury in gruesome detail how he helped his father burn Bonnie's body.
I think Nathan realized his dad tried to kill his mom. And that's just crossing a line. If you think about Nathan, he is a child. And he's being controlled by dad, and he witnesses something horrific.
The son, Nathan, testifies. And I'm told that it was a very stirring, powerful testimony. What do you remember of it?
I remember that after Nathan testified, it was completely silent. It was just a silence through the whole entire courtroom afterwards.
Nathan's testimony doesn't really make sense. Nathan keeps saying he's reluctant, he did it anyway. Why would Nathan help his father do it? What's in it for him? It's a big mystery.
Nathan can be hard to read. He was ashamed.
He knew what he had done was wrong.
He knew what his father had done was wrong, and he knew that helping clean up was wrong. He was very remorseful.
A lot of the trial was built around corroborating what he was telling us was the truth. We didn't want the jury to just have to take Nathan's word for it. We wanted to show that it fit and matched all the forensic evidence in this case.
But the defense just keeps chipping away at that evidence, including those 27 bone fragments that were found on the property. In fact, there's a rather big bombshell in store for the jury.
Bones were found, but they're not the bones of the deceased.
We were never actually able to find DNA of Bonnie Woodward on these bone fragments. We were able to say that these were bone fragments believed to be of human origin, but we could not definitively say that they were Bonnie Woodward's.
In fact, it's not clear if they're human bones or animal bones, or whether they're bones that were from an Indian burial many years ago.
Prosecutors argued that the bones were degraded by the fire, which Nathan described, that burned Bonnie's body. And to prove that there actually was a fire on the property, the prosecution used an unexpected method and witness.
Nathan identified the burn spot on this ridge behind the house. And where the burn spot was, there's a sassafras tree. The sassafras tree has a scarred spot on the bark several feet up the tree.
So we go over there, cut down the tree.
We cut slices out of the tree. We sent them off to a botanist. He examined the tree, its age, its growth rings, and said that tree was damaged in the early growing season of 2010, spring or summer.
That tree damage, according to the testimony of a botanist from the University of Wisconsin, was reminiscent of a fire and appears to have happened at the same time Nathan claimed Bonnie's body had been burned. As a prosecutor, why is that critical?
That fire, others have testified, had to be quite large to burn a body like that, down to the fragments that we found.
There's a question, was there actually evidence of a fire? Or is it a fire around the time of 2010? Or is it not a fire? That's questionable.
Heather Woodward, Bonnie's stepdaughter, takes the stand and tells jurors that she told Roger about Bonnie's whereabouts and her work schedule.
How did Heather do on the stand? What was her testimony like?
It was pretty short, and I think the way that Heather was in the police interviews is the way she was on the stand.
I never want nothing to happen to Bonnie. I mean, sometimes, she's mean, but I wouldn't do that to her.
Her testimony, it pretty much tracked with that, but it was clear to those involved that she had not participated in her mother's death.
What made her cry on the stand, do you remember?
Every time she cried, it was because she said, I never wanted this to happen to Bonnie. I never meant for this to happen to Bonnie.
Bonnie's boyfriend, Gary, took to the stand too and told the jury about what was lost when Bonnie's life was cut short.
He wouldn't look back at me for nothing. I kept looking across where he was, and he wouldn't look at me, so I started talking to the jury to my right, and I said he took away a good woman, mother. I let him know what kind of person Bonnie was.
I have an old supervisor, before I started my very first no body case, which I'll never forget, he said, always remember, the jury can see the soul of your victim reflected in the eyes of those who love them.
When it was their turn, the defense team laid out a case that pointed the finger at Nathan as Bonnie's killer and argued that without him and the so-called golden ticket, the state's case was just circumstantial.
Nathan didn't have a choice. If Nathan didn't help his father dispose of this crime, Nathan's a dead man. And let's not forget, he was a barely 16-year-old boy.
Roger did not testify at trial. It's his choice whether or not to testify, and he decided not to.
He was advised not to testify. Many attorneys advise their clients not to testify because, for one thing, they think it will shift the burden. They think the jury is going to look at whether they believe the defendant, and suddenly the defendant has to prove his innocence, which he normally doesn't have to do.
After 5 days, the case is now in the hands of the jury.
It was back and forth all the way.
Those moments are always very tense.
We would get close, and then somebody would say something else, and then it would throw everything off.
What was the hang-up then? The cases have been presented, and now the verdict is in the hands of the jury.
It was back and forth all the way, truly, till the end. We were back and forth. And we thought we would get close, and then somebody would say something else, and then it would throw everything off.
What was the hang-up then?
We all agreed that he definitely had a hand in this. The hang-up was basically, did he do it, or was he covering for someone else that did it?
When you finally reached a decision, what was the feeling in the room?
Relief. We truly did our due diligence on deliberating correctly.
We were notified that the jury had a verdict, so we all went back to the courtroom, and those moments are always very tense.
Roger Carroll was found guilty of first-degree murder.
And so when the verdict was read, how did the courtroom respond?
Crying from both sides, happy on Bonnie's side, sad on Roger's side, and again, Roger never made any emotion. He just sat there.
He didn't even react?
Mm-mm.
What went through your mind when you heard the verdict?
Bonnie, that finally she could be at rest. I don't believe in the word closure. It doesn't exist in my mind, but that Bonnie can now rest peacefully.
By the time of sentencing, the charges against Roger for domestic violence and obstruction were dropped.
At the sentencing hearing, Roger was given the opportunity to make a statement to the court, and he chose to use that time to be defiant.
He said, I don't have anything to be sorry for. I won't apologize because I've done nothing wrong.
And that says a lot about his mindset.
Sure does.
When I heard the jury found him guilty, that was a blessing to my ears to hear. Wish he could have got more time than he did.
He was charged with first-degree murder while using a firearm. He received 40 years in the Department of Corrections for the murder, plus 25 years for the gun enhancement.
At least they did lock him up, and I give him that. The police finally making him pay for what he did. Roger Carroll robbed her kids, her grandkids, friends, family. But we won't never forget her, and we won't forget him.
People describe her as somebody who had a really loving heart.
Oh no, she definitely did. Like, even, especially with family, like, didn't matter what you did. She would figure out a way to just make it better.
You really loved her.
Oh yeah, like, she was great.
Sometimes I'll look up at the sky and tell her I don't know if I'll be there, but I hope someday I will and see you again.
So many of Bonnie's loved ones wishing they could see her again. Bonnie Woodward's killer, Roger Carroll, is appealing his conviction.
He was granted permission for that appeal by the Illinois Supreme Court, and his case will likely be argued this fall. That's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Good night.